Unused medicines are the best medicines. Xiefeng. Prepare for a rainy day and prevent problems before they arise. Many of us keep basic and emergency medicines at home. Those for colds and fevers, injuries and bruises, pain relief, calming, digestive issues, and liver relief. Over time, these medicines accumulate in drawers. Some have been used only a little, while others remain unopened. Every now and then, I find myself staring at expired medicines and wondering, which of them was truly the most valuable? Medicines are meant to preserve health and deal with emergencies. If a medicine is used, it means the body has faced some issue. If a medicine remains untouched, it signifies the body stayed healthy and free from any acute illness. In this light, even though some medicines have expired and used, the fact that they were never needed is the best outcome. A hunter venturing into the wild might carry something like Yunnan Baiyao in case of an animal bite, but in his heart, the hunter hopes he'll never have to use it, because needing it would mean serious trouble. The medicines that ultimately expire and are thrown away are the best medicines. Their value lies in the fact that the body never needed them. This idea brings to mind friendship. Friends are an intangible wealth in life. When we face difficulties or emergencies, a true friend steps in at just the right moment. Having close friends brings a sense of calm and security. Knowing they're always by your side gives you strength. I take pride in my friendships, and whenever I tell others about my friends, I feel a deep sense of joy and pride. Friends are my source of pride. But just as the best medicine is the one that was never used, the best friends are those who never had to help me. If a friend never needed to assist me throughout life, it shows that I was capable enough to handle my own problems. Not needing help from a friend over the course of a lifetime is a great honor. I will keep some medicines in reserve, but I hope I never have to use them. I will treasure friendships, but I hope I never have to rely on them. Similarly, I wish to always be able to help others and benefit them, but I hope never to need others' help myself. After all, experiencing loss is the greatest gain, while seeking advantage is the greatest loss. In this way, I can ensure my life has no deficits, and I will be able to leave this world peacefully with a clear conscience. 生命的寄托, the sustenance of life. Xiefeng. Laozi, the sage, once said, "He who values his body as the world may be entrusted with the world. He who loves the world as he loves his body may be entrusted with the world." This means that the world can be entrusted to those who cherish the lives of others as much as they cherish their own. The idea of entrusting the world might seem far removed from the lives of ordinary people, so let us reflect on where we place the trust for our own lives. The most precious thing in the world is life. Likewise, the most valuable part of human existence is also life. If life requires a foundation, where should we place our trust for our lives? In what or whom should we entrust our lives? Guan Yu and Zhang Fei entrusted their lives to Liu Bei, just as Liu Bei and King Wu of the Zhou dynasty entrusted their lives to Zhuge Liang and Jiang Ziya. Historically, the common people of China often entrusted their lives to wise rulers. While this kind of trust is admirable, it is also illusory. Some people place their lives in the hands of their spouses, wives relying on their husbands, and husbands relying on their wives. This kind of dependence is risky. Some devote their lives to their immediate families, believing that as long as their family endures, so does their life. But if the family falls apart, so does their existence. Some people place their trust in wealth, toiling from dawn till dusk for money, believing that only wealth offers security, thinking that once they have money, all problems can be solved. Others pour their lives into their jobs, companies, or personal achievements, focusing all their efforts on career advancement, company growth, and professional success. However, when their status is lost, their company goes bankrupt, or their career declines, their sense of life fades too. Some place their lives in the hands of their mentors, while others attach themselves to political parties, religions, ethnic groups, or nations. They cry out for their master's honor or sacrifice their lives for their party, religion, ethnicity, or nation. This is life's confusion. To place your trust in a spouse, in others, in money or power, in family, political parties, religions, ethnic groups, or nations is to place it in something as fragile as a mirage in the sky. Such trust will inevitably lead to disappointment, for these things may disappear at any moment. How can we entrust our precious lives to people or things that are doomed to pass away? Floods can rise to the heavens, but they are temporary. Enterprises may flourish, but they too can vanish like smoke. Even the mightiest empires have been buried in the ruins of history, and once great figures have been forgotten in the shifting tides of time. We, as beings of life, cannot place our existence in things that are not eternal. There is one thing, however, that is eternal. From the distant past to the boundless future, it remains constant and selfless. Its form may change, but its essence never does. Whether in the past, present, or future, if we are willing, we can always rely on it. This is where we should entrust our lives. That eternal thing is the Tao. It is what we have always longed for. Because it is eternal, when we entrust our lives to the Tao, our lives can become eternal too. What is the Tao? The Tao is the consciousness of the greatest creator, the spirit of the greatest creator. To entrust your life to the Tao means to entrust it to the consciousness and spirit of the greatest creator. To put it simply, we should entrust our lives to the greatest creator. Only Christ Jesus and the Buddha Shakyamuni have truly valued the world and loved all life. They gave up everything, dedicating their entire lives to the suffering masses. We can entrust our lives to the greatest creator by listening to the teachings of Jesus and Shakyamuni, which will guide us in realizing this goal. Shakyamuni devoted his life to creating a vessel for eternal life, and if we board this vessel, we are sure to reach the ideal shore of existence. Jesus Christ, with his precious blood, has shown us the direction of life. Only those who follow the will of my Father in heaven can enter the kingdom of heaven and attain eternal life. This is where we place the trust of our lives. By boarding the vessel created by Shakyamuni and following the direction illuminated by Jesus Christ, we can draw closer to the greatest creator. Closer, ever closer. 悟道、求道、正道、得道、守道. The path of understanding, seeking, realizing, attaining, and upholding the way. Xiefeng. Understanding, seeking, realizing, attaining, and upholding the way, Tao, are the paths to the sublimation of life. Understanding the way means perceiving the laws governing the universe and the origins of all things, the principles behind phenomena, and the mysteries of the universe, space-time, life, and life, referring to the deeper, spiritual essence of existence, as opposed to everyday physical life. Seeking the way with this understanding, guiding one to form a worldview, philosophy of life, and set of values. Realizing the way involves repeatedly verifying, through personal practice, whether one's worldview, life philosophy, and values align with the way's laws and evolutionary processes. Attaining the way means that one has comprehended the profound mysteries of the universe, life, and has established an unshakable and correct worldview, life philosophy, and values. Upholding the way means living and practicing according to these established principles, regardless of life's changes. Whether the external world is harmonious or chaotic, one remains steadfast in faith and belief. As the saying goes, stand firm through countless trials, no matter where the winds blow, and let the storm rage. Remain calm, as if sitting securely in a boat. Jesus' teaching that only those who endure to the end will be saved captures the essence of upholding the way. Life's journey is sometimes filled with sunshine and smooth sailing, but at other times it's stormy and filled with obstacles. At times, one feels as though they are riding on clouds in sheer bliss, while at other times, they face hardships and struggles. Some things come effortlessly, while other efforts end in vain. Even siblings born to the same parents may find their fates diverge wildly. University graduates from the same school may experience either smooth sailing in their careers or constant setbacks. Those adorned in silk and brocade are not necessarily the ones who raise the silkworms. A 3-year-old might sit on the throne, while warriors die far from home. A neighbor may enjoy lavish feasts and grand parties, while one's own home endures hardships and desolation. Is it fate? Is it luck? Who controls the destiny of this vast earth? Life's journey is full of twists and turns. Why do we say, man plans, but heaven decides? Meaning that while people can make their own plans, The ultimate outcome is determined by a higher power or the forces of fate beyond human control. Where is heaven, and how does it relate to my destiny? Such contemplation is the beginning of understanding the way. When one continuously contemplates the universe and its mysteries, clarity will one day come. Just as wood rubbed together creates fire and heat can cause water to boil, the heavenly bodies follow their paths, and human life operates by cause and effect. No wind, no waves. Fortune and misfortune are the results of human actions. The endless changes in the world reflect deeper laws. It's easy to go with the flow, but hard to swim against it. A life of confusion leads to futile struggles, while clarity brings contentment. Acceptance of things as they are avoids disaster, while following the natural flow brings joy. Rather than seeking fame and fortune, seek to live with a clear conscience, in harmony with the heavens, earth, and the times. Those who seek divinity and truth find peace of mind. This is seeking the way. How did the universe begin? Does the greatest creator exist? Is there an invisible hand guiding the evolution of all things? Who is this being, and what is my relationship to it? In the debate between creationism and evolution, who is right? Is it the theologians or the scientists? We must align with the laws of heaven. But where can these laws be found? Everything is connected. How does this interaction occur? The balance of yin and yang is truth, but where is the non-material world? Is death the end of life, or is it a new beginning? What is the evidence? What should be the primary goal of life? How do we prioritize our pursuits? How should we best manage our relationships with others, with society, and with nature? Those who explore these questions are engaged in realizing the way. Rope saws through wood, and water drops where away stone. In time, progress occurs naturally, just as fruit ripens and falls when ready. Among 1,000 searches, I suddenly turned back and found her in the dim light. Diligence is always rewarded, and the gods favor the sincere. Suddenly, a flash of enlightenment connects everything. A pure heart invites celestial beings, and the universe becomes clear. One sees the mysteries of the greatest creator, glimpses the kingdom of heaven, and realizes that life is a journey, and the universe is infinite. One can now ascend to heavenly realms and reach the shores of bliss, living in eternal joy. This is the sign that you have attained the way. Day and night alternate, and demons, gods, and Buddhas are always close at hand. In yin, there is yang. In yang, there is yin. The higher the mountain, the greater the peril. The deeper one dives, the greater the pressure. There is no free lunch, and precious treasures are never cheap. The path to eternal life is narrow. One must give up attachments to this life to attain the divine. One must let go of the ego to cross the river of life. After attaining the way, challenges and temptations are ever present. Will you hold your ground until the end? If you can, you will emerge from the darkness into light. But a moment's retreat can lead to failure and wasted efforts. Attaining the way is easy. Upholding it is difficult. Always hold the hand of the greatest creator, listen to the teachings of Jesus and the Buddha, and follow closely behind the guide, lest the devil mislead you. This is what it means to uphold the way. This is the path to the sublimation of life, understanding, seeking, realizing, attaining, and upholding the way. John 180 度看风景如何? How about turning 180 degrees to see the scenery? Xiefeng. The troubles we face in life all stem from our own thoughts. When we can't figure things out, it's because we're tied up by mental knots. All suffering comes from our own mistaken perceptions, and every misfortune is of our own making. Ultimately, we are the ones responsible for our confusion, sorrow, and misfortune. When we reach a dead end, why not turn 180 degrees and see how the scenery changes? Very few people have never had suicidal thoughts. I've had them multiple times. Every time I felt like giving up, I'd think, I refuse to commit suicide. Let's see what happens next. With that shift in thinking, things would change. The next day, the sun would rise in the east again, the earth would keep spinning, flowers would still bloom, and life remained full of beauty. When someone I loved dearly left me and I felt heartbroken, I'd think, well, now I'm free. Reading a story without a period can be exhausting, and wandering endlessly in a valley prevents you from seeing the beauty at the mountain's peak. The mountains may not move, but the water does. Set your sights on the next goal and, wow, it's even more exciting than the last one. Chase it. Thinking about divorce? Go ahead. Who's afraid of whom? Without potassium fertilizer, can I still grow yellow carrots? Without your slim arms, do you think I, a strong mountain, would ever run out of firewood? At worst, I'll guard my empty house alone. If no one cares about me, that's even better. Maybe I don't want them to. Boss, you fired me? Fine. Just wait. Fortune changes. 6 years from now, you'll be working for me as my deputy manager. Child, you think your parents are a burden now? Fine. We, your parents, are here to repay our debts to you. Now that the debt is settled, we won't worry about each other anymore. Even if we die in the fields, who cares if crows take our bodies or wolves devour them? We'll ascend to the celestial realms. Let's see how you'll manage then. You say God wants to punish me? Kid, don't threaten me. Let God come speak to me directly. Slandering the Buddha sends you to hell, you say? Have you ever seen the Buddha? Just returned from hell? How else would you know? You're possessed by a ghost, you say? No, I think you are the ghost. Can smoking, drinking, eating meat, and having a sex life prevent me from becoming a celestial being? Don't be ridiculous. True celestial beings live without restrictions. You're filled with hate and want revenge? Not many people stay clean while rolling in donkey dung. A great man has a big heart. Let it go. The one who doesn't seek revenge is the true man, a glowing hero. You think my shoes are ugly? Comrade, many people don't even have shoes to wear. You think I'm unattractive? Sir, being unattractive is not important. Look at those with disabilities. They're much worse off. You say I'm disabled? Dear, even though my body is disabled, my mind is healthy. Look at all those able-bodied people who commit suicide, go to jail, or live in misery, unable to eat or sleep. So, who's truly disabled? You say you eat better than me? I don't believe you. Show everyone your poop, and let's see if it proves you eat better. You say you're more fashionable than me? I don't believe you. Take off all the metal around your neck and ears, wash your hair and face, and let's see how you look without clothes. You say you're richer than me? I don't believe you. Let's measure how much larger your sleeping space is compared to mine. You say you have more power and status than I do? I don't believe you. Let's meet again in 100 years and see. You claim to be more famous than I am? I don't believe you. Let's take a magnifying glass and find out where your fame lies. You say you own a lot? Maybe so, but let's see who worries about bills at the end of the month. Let's see who sleeps more soundly. Worried because your child didn't get into college? We don't need to compare our weaknesses to other strengths. Comparison between people only causes frustration. Let's compare health, filial piety, stability, and the suicide rates of college graduates versus ordinary people. Let's see who lives a more peaceful, harmonious life. Your husband is cheating and you're upset? Let him cheat. Let him fly away. Let's see how far he can go. Besides, there are no men who don't cheat. Just make do with him. Your wife is having an affair and you're angry? Pull out the radish. The pit remains. As long as her conscience is still there, just make do with her. In short, when you find it hard to figure things out, try shifting your perspective and see how it looks from another angle. Of course, if you insist on overthinking and driving yourself into a dead end, you'll only end up suffering in silence. 转识气质登堂入室. Transform consciousness and abandon wisdom, entering the hall of life. Xiefeng. Entering the vast garden of Buddhism, the myriad of terms and concepts can leave one overwhelmed. To the average person, it seems profound and incomprehensible. To the enlightened, it feels tedious and convoluted. To philosophers, it becomes a playground for manipulating concepts, while for scholars of religion, it provides rich material for writing papers as they wander through a maze of ideas. Buddhism speaks of transforming consciousness into wisdom. Consciousness refers to the 8 types: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, mind consciousness, manas consciousness, and alaya consciousness. Wisdom includes 4 types: the wisdom of accomplishing deeds, the wisdom of subtle observation, the wisdom of equality, and the wisdom of the great perfect mirror. In Buddhism, the 8 types of consciousness include sensory and mental awareness, representing different levels of perception, while wisdom refers to a higher level of understanding and insight. If we focus on explaining these terms in detail, it would be like trying to catch the moon in water or pick flowers from a mirror. Laozi advises us to abandon sagacity and discard intelligence, and Buddhism calls for transforming consciousness into wisdom, which can be understood as changing one's mindset or perspective, and letting go of excessive intellectualization in favor of spiritual awareness. I emphasize transforming consciousness, abandoning wisdom, and entering the hall of life. The vast texts of Buddhism ultimately revolve around just 2 words: transformation of consciousness. Simply put, it means changing one's mindset. More elaborately, it means shifting awareness, and profoundly, it means sublimating the non-material structure of human life to that of a celestial being. A person's life is filled with worries. Why? Because they do not have a correct understanding of life and life. The only way to free oneself from these worries is to transform one's consciousness. For example, viewing an enemy as a benefactor instead of harboring resentment. Consider that even those we perceive as enemies can teach us important lessons and offer opportunities for personal growth. Seeing death as another leap in life, or recognizing marriage as a primary source of distress are all examples of transforming consciousness. Buddhism identifies 5 afflictions, known as the 5 poisons: greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy. Greed is indulging in desires. Anger is resentment and fury. Ignorance is obsession with certain matters or teachings. Arrogance is pride, disrespect, vanity, and stubbornness. And jealousy is doubting the wise, scorning science, doubting everything, and envying those better than oneself. In reality, the causes of suffering extend far beyond these 5 poisons. There are at least dozens more. Concepts like bringing glory to the nation, saving humanity, serving the people wholeheartedly, dedicating oneself until death, becoming a celestial being or Buddha, maintaining peace, achieving supreme enlightenment, implementing democracy to overthrow tyranny, contributing to the party, bringing honor to one's ancestors, spreading religious teachings, and ushering in the era of life genuine, all lead to suffering. Even compassion and sympathy can cause distress. I advocate for unconventional thinking. From this perspective, the poisons mentioned earlier can be seen as joys. For instance, greed. Greedily absorbing knowledge brings joy, and the desire to write extensively lifts one's spirits. Ignorance. Being enchanted by a lover's soul or tenderness brings delight, and delving into the mysteries of life provides a sense of soaring through time and space. Ideas like ushering in the era of life genuine can make one feel extraordinary and free. By shifting perspectives, what was once considered poison transforms into nectar, and joy becomes a fleeting intoxication of the mind, like the hemlock wine that numbs consciousness for a moment. In my view, the best way to alleviate suffering is to treat life as a game. Life is but a dream. Don't cling to anything. Treat everything as a game. If it's fun, play it. If it's not, just walk away. No one is responsible for me, and I am responsible for no one. Treating life as a game doesn't mean disregarding its importance, but rather embracing flexibility and detaching from rigid expectations. Buddhism teaches us to transform suffering into wisdom. However, there is an issue here. Wisdom is neutral. It doesn't necessarily embody truth, goodness, or beauty, nor does it always lead to positive outcomes. How about Hitler's wisdom? Or the wisdom of corrupt officials, mob leaders, and cult leaders? Jesus warned us to be cautious of those with wisdom, and Laozi's advice to abandon sagacity and discard intelligence was not without reason. The 3 realms exist solely in the mind. All dharmas are mere consciousness. All consciousness must serve the self. When consciousness, understanding, and awareness binds one's true nature, shackles the spirit, and brings suffering, one must engage in unconventional thinking and shift 180 degrees. For example, if the belief to be unfilial is to have no descendants troubles you, realize that This world is not a good place, and rather than having children to suffer here, it's better to give birth in paradise. If your affair causes distress because it has been exposed, think, I love what I love. I enjoy what I enjoy. I express my humanity without regret. An affair shows I have feelings. Without feelings, heaven shows no sympathy. In 100 years, we'll all be buried under grass. Life leaves no regrets. Wisdom is a product of human thought, not the source of spirituality. Greed can cloud wisdom, and too much wisdom can confuse the heart. The more wisdom one has, the more lost they become. It is better to abandon wisdom and revere spirituality. Spirituality is the gateway to life, and the non-material structure of life is its inner sanctum. Transform consciousness, abandon wisdom, awaken spiritual awareness, and you can enter the hall. You will then be free to roam the infinite mysteries of life and experience the vast expanse of existence. Are you still troubled? 同于道者道亦乐得之. One who is in harmony with the Tao likewise delights in him. Xiefeng. All things follow their kind. All people follow their hearts. All hearts follow their spirits, and all spirits follow their masters. This is the way of the universe. What belongs to gods returns to gods. What belongs to demons returns to demons. What belongs to Buddhas returns to Buddhas. What belongs to devils returns to devils. What belongs to humans returns to humans. And what belongs to ghosts returns to ghosts. This is the natural order of things. Those destined for heaven go to heaven. Those destined for hell go to hell. And those of the human world remain in the human world. The heavenly net is vast and all-encompassing, loose yet never missing anything. Those who align with the Tao delights in them. Those who align with virtue delights in them. Those who align with thieves delight in them. Those who align with greed delights in them. Those who align with masters delight in them. Those who align with servants delight in them. Those who align with celestial beings delight in them. Those who align with ghosts delight in them. Whatever one aligns with will gladly accept them. The human world serves as a transit station for life from both higher and lower realms, which is why everything exists here. Gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, humans, as well as devils, demons, monsters, and ghosts. These beings, each fulfilling their roles, come to the human world to guide their respective souls back to where they belong. Those who can become gods are as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. Those who can become Buddhas are as few as morning stars. Those who can become celestial beings can be counted on one hand. Those who can become humans are abundant and visible everywhere. Those who can become devils are as sparse as desert plants. Those who can become demons are 1 in 100. Those who can become monsters are widespread. And those who can become ghosts are shockingly numerous. As night falls, cows return to their stalls, sheep to their pens, birds to their nests, and beasts to their lairs. The great cosmic adjustment of life has begun. What belongs to the greatest creator returns to the greatest creator. What belongs to Caesar returns to Caesar. What belongs to emperors returns to emperors. What belongs to temples returns to temples. Now is the swift harvest period, and messengers from all realms are working to gather their respective crops. The computer network has become the primary means for this rapid collection. Those who love money will be claimed by money. Those who love power will be claimed by power. Those who love pleasure will be claimed by pleasure. Those who love fame will be claimed by fame. Those who love spiritual matters will be claimed by spirits. Those who love material things will be claimed by possessions. Thieves will be claimed by their stolen goods. And those who indulge in desires will be claimed by their lusts. At the busy crossroads of life, some cry, some laugh, rushing around without knowing where they're going. When the moment of truth arrives, all will become clear. Those with supreme love will ascend to super celestial beings. Those with ultimate goodness will ascend to Buddhas. Those with supreme joy will ascend to deity celestial beings. Those with supreme health will ascend to land celestial beings. Those with supreme kindness will ascend to human celestial beings. Those with supreme loyalty will ascend to nobility. Those who are filial will be reborn with great blessings. Those who are impartial will return to the human path. Those who accumulate virtue will be reborn wealthy. Those with muddled minds will descend into the animal world. Those who are indifferent will descend into the plant world. Those with malice will fall into the ghost world. Those who are domineering will descend into the frozen hell. Those who are cruel will descend into the inflamed hell. Sang san ruasoi. The highest goodness is like water. Xiefeng. Water nourishes all things without competing with them. It cleanses dirt, purifying all things, yet does not seek the highest place. Water takes the shape of its container, whether square or round, helping others without complaint. It transforms into clouds, soaring across the sky, indifferent to mountain peaks or valleys, plains or deserts, making its home everywhere without regret. Water is soft and humble. It flows when it can, rests when needed, sings when it should, and remains silent when appropriate. It changes form endlessly but never departs from its essence. In motion or stillness, it always returns to its source. The highest goodness is like water. Water is close to the Tao, embodying its qualities. Those who seek goodness should learn from water. Those who pursue the Tao should learn from water. Life comes from the Tao and returns to the Tao. Since the Tao shapes both my body and nature, I should fully express my inner light, dedicating myself to my parents, children, siblings, society, and nature. Give without expecting anything in return. Help others cleanse the dust from their hearts with sincerity and love. Let others benefit and willingly take the lower position. Whether dealing with benefactors or enemies, acquaintances or strangers, as long as it brings good to others, help them without judging their faults or mistakes. If wronged or misunderstood, so be it. Just fulfill your responsibilities without complaint. After giving, don't focus on whether or not you receive anything in return, because we trust that the Tao does not shortchange anyone. Water's nature is cool and gentle. Though it sometimes flows with mud and sand, its purity remains. When stirred, it becomes murky, but that's no problem. Once still, it quickly returns to its pure nature. People in society are the same, sometimes caught in confusion or mixed with the mundane. The wise may be mistaken for the foolish or worldly, but it's no matter. When the turbulence subsides, as long as we are grateful to the greatest creator, revere the greatest creator, life, and nature, and walk the path of the greatest creator, the dirt that stains us will soon be washed away, and our pure nature will re-emerge. Rigid things break easily, and what is strong eventually ages. Tender willow branches sway gracefully with the wind without losing their beauty. The soft branches don't easily break under the weight of snow. A sword may slice through water, but the soft water does not die. Mountains may crumble, but rivers and seas are not easily severed. The soft overcomes the hard, while the hard struggles to conquer the soft. A dam may block water, but eventually, water will break through. Thus, expressing gentleness often benefits both oneself and others. Who can destroy water? Who can truly harm water? Who can live without water? Who does not depend on water? The highest goodness is like water. If a person can be like water, they will be one with the Tao and enjoy an endless, flowing existence. 上至无形, the highest wisdom is formless. Xiefeng. Incomparable giving is superior to giving treasures, even if they were as numerous as the sands of the Ganges. This was said by the Buddha Shakyamuni. Blessed are those who store treasures in heaven, who serve the greatest creator with gentleness, compassion, and a pure heart, for their reward in heaven is great. This was said by Christ Jesus. By the existence of things, we profit. By the non-existence of things, we are served. The wise of ancient times practiced the way. They were subtle, profound, and unfathomable. The good traveler leaves no tracks, the good speaker makes no blunders, the good reckoner needs no counting rods, the good closer requires no bolts, yet none can open what he has closed. The good binder needs no ropes, yet none can untie what he has bound. This was said by Laozi. Consciousness creates reality and holographic consciousness, which suggests that everything is interconnected, and this interconnection drives the movement of the universe, rotates the universe. This might have been said by Xiefeng. The skilled swordsman carries no sword. Those who appear still and unassuming can drive away armies without fighting. No one dares to touch a wire charged with 1,000 volts of electricity due to its invisible potential. True experts conceal their abilities. Much like barking dogs don't bite, noisy people online achieve nothing. A beautifully embroidered pillow may look good, but inside, it's filled with straw or bran. Some scientists' minds can rival a million-strong army. A mountain need not be high to be famous if it holds a celestial. Water need not be deep if it has a dragon. No matter how curved your eyebrows are, how red your lips are painted, or how much platinum dangles from your ears, true grace will not shine through. No matter how much money you have in the bank, how good your car is, or how impressive your bodyguards are, true grace cannot be shown. No matter how many books line your study or how brightly the flowers bloom on your windowsills, even if you drink the finest tea, you won't utter words of wisdom. Sparrows can sometimes fly higher than eagles, yet they remain sparrows. There's no escaping it, because the highest wisdom is formless. Some entertain themselves with birds, some with money, some with sports, and others with social interactions. Some play games, others bungee jump. Some play with cars, others with power. But none of these can compare to playing with thoughts, for the highest wisdom is formless. Some people decorate their bedrooms, some package themselves, some put on shows, others focus on image building. Some fuss over hairstyles, others over brand names. Some try to appear profound, while others work hard to show their depth. Rather than all this, it is better to refine and adorn your heart, for the highest wisdom is formless. Some rush to famous landmarks, some exhaust themselves traveling between mountains and rivers. Some travel great distances to watch a game, while others dream of going to the barren moon just for a look. Why run around? The most beautiful scenery is found in consciousness, for the highest wisdom is formless. Some people bring toys home from the store for their children. Some force their kids to learn piano, painting, dancing, or martial arts. Some meticulously dress their children, while others wear themselves out worrying about their children's degrees, status, marriages, and families. Instead of this, it's better to help children develop kind and loving hearts, for the highest wisdom is formless. Some build temples, some make Buddha statues. Some kill sheep for sacrifice, while others climb mountains to burn incense and bow their heads. Some recite prayers with little thought. Why all the trouble? The Buddha resides within the heart. Calm your mind and sincerely worship the Buddha within you. Let yourself become a Buddha and help your parents, children, neighbors, friends, and colleagues become Buddhas. This brings far greater merit, for the highest wisdom is formless. Some carefully select burial sites. Some sincerely invite feng shui masters to plan auspicious grounds. Some pay attention to the azure dragon, white tiger, and black tortoise. While some scheme day and night for sudden wealth, you do better to cultivate your heart as an auspicious place. A good heart creates good feng shui. A bad heart creates poor feng shui, for the highest wisdom is formless. Some are ignorant, some are clever. Some are born naturally beautiful, while others are born ugly. Some are born into wealth, while others struggle to survive in the cold. Some become famous with a song, while others labor in laboratories for years, accomplishing nothing. Some live long and die peacefully. Others die young, cut down by illness in their prime. What can be done? The highest wisdom is formless. It cannot be ignored. The power of the Tao is infinite, and the power of the law is boundless, yet we cannot see it because it is formless. Some have no worries about food and clothing yet frown all day, while others, with only a thin piece of land, smile all day. The Prophet Muhammad told us, true wealth is found within the soul. But where is this richness in the soul? We cannot see it, for it is formless. Lesser wisdom is trapped by form. Middle wisdom is caught up in busyness. Greater wisdom may seem foolish to others, but the highest wisdom is formless. Lesser wisdom busies itself with planning systems. Middle wisdom refines laws and regulations. Greater wisdom is concerned with spiritual civilization, while the highest wisdom roams freely in the world of the spirit. After eating a pancake, munching on sunflower seeds, drinking a cup of tea, and writing this article for Chapter of Wisdom, I strategize from within and triumph from afar, taking in all the beauty of the world. Celestial beings in the heavens cast flirtatious autumn glances. How enchanting! Dayform celestial. 思维惯性的危害. The harm of thought inertia. 邪风. Inertia is the property of an object to maintain its state of constant motion or rest unless acted upon by an external force. Just as objects have the nature to maintain their original state of motion, human thought also has the nature to sustain its existing state of consciousness. Whether it's the inertia of objects or thought, both have many harmful effects. A car moving at high speed, when subjected to emergency braking, will continue to slide forward due to its inertia. This inertia can sometimes lead to disaster. In today's rapidly changing world, people's thoughts and consciousness, due to thought inertia, tend to cling tightly to outdated ideas, instinctively rejecting the emergence of new thoughts. This inability to shift consciousness in a timely manner leads not only to personal mental anguish, but also becomes a stumbling block for civilization, turning into a killer of the new era. Let's examine a few phenomena that illustrate the harm of thought inertia. Over 20 years ago, Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping proposed, "Let some people get rich first." He advised the entire party and nation not to get entangled in debates over socialism versus capitalism, but to focus all efforts on economic development. Over the past 20 years, practice has proven that Deng Xiaoping's philosophical perspective of, "It doesn't matter whether a cat is black or white. As long as it catches mice, it's a good cat," has a correct side. This represents new ideas and ways of thinking. However, many individuals, constrained by decades of communal living and the pursuit of common prosperity, not only failed to actively shift their thinking or participate in economic activities, but also rejected Deng Xiaoping's approach both verbally and psychologically. What was the result? As the tides of the times surged forward, those shackled by thought inertia were left behind, while those who could quickly adapt their thinking emerged as leaders in the market economy. They not only became prosperous but also continually enhanced their cultural literacy and began to excel in various fields, including culture and politics. Meanwhile, those heavily influenced by old thoughts and concepts developed strong resistance and became psychologically unbalanced, watching as more and more people around them grew wealthy. As the trend continued, their mindset became increasingly unbalanced, leading to constant complaints or engaging in corruption and theft, disregarding all else in their pursuit of money. When people try to maintain their original way of thinking due to inertia, conflicts and contradictions arise. Those who adapt their thinking in response to external forces represent the progressive forces of the time and will thrive. Those who resist and exhibit excessive inertia, changing their thoughts too slowly, are the forces of backwardness and are bound to fail. After the Tiananmen Square protests in 1989, most students quickly adapted their thinking and redirected their time and energy into other areas. In contrast, some students, due to their strong thought inertia, remained oblivious for a long time, wasting over a decade of their youth in ideological struggles. Their thinking became rigid, unable to tolerate any dissent, while the times had already left them behind, and yet they clung stubbornly to their beliefs, a sad and pitiful state. After Falun Gong was banned in mainland China, some practitioners quickly adjusted their thinking, abandoning their practices and distancing themselves from the organization, exploring deeper realms of spirituality and maintaining balance in their family and work life. However, other practitioners, due to deep-seated thought inertia, found their foundations crumbling, their potential fading, and their opportunities slipping away irretrievably. It was like trying to hatch an egg that had already broken, and crying was futile, yet they still waited hopelessly for something to change. Contemporary youth are flexible in their thinking and adept at enjoying life. The constraints of traditional worldviews, values, and marriage concepts are diminishing for them. The rising divorce rate is a sign of societal progress. However, many still live within old thought patterns, lamenting that people's hearts are not what they used to be, and the moral standards of society have declined. Yet, they can do nothing but watch the flowers fall, adding unnecessary worries to themselves. Cars have been invented, yet people still reminisce about horse-drawn carriages. A phone call can resolve issues from 1,000 miles away, yet people still embark on long journeys to meet in person. New ways of living save time and effort, Yet people insist on doing everything themselves, failing to recognize the benefits of cooperation. Renting a home can be better than buying. Mobility is preferable to stubbornness. Change is better than rigidity, and innovation trumps tradition. But this is difficult. This is the mischief of thought inertia. The era of life genuine is on the horizon. Humanity's collective consciousness must rise. Those who do not harmonize with the main theme of the times or resonate with the ideals of the new era will face significant risks of elimination and purification. If one does not swiftly adapt their thinking and remains entangled in the old nests of nation, religion, political party, and family, struggling in exhaustion against the turbulent waves, what will the outcome be? As they see others marching forward with vitality toward the highest realms of life and existence and observe the tsunami approaching, yet remain stationary, muttering in confusion or helplessness, can they find a way out? Everyone has a side that is kind, and everyone yearns for a beautiful life. Yet many have never realized that their own suffering and backwardness are entirely the result of their thought inertia. Habit becomes nature. Everyone has laziness and a parasitic mindset seeking easy gains. However, the way of heaven rewards diligence, and the tides will sift the sands. Today's river is not yesterday's river, and tomorrow's earth will not be today's earth. China's Great Wall cannot block the winds from the west, and old vessels cannot contain new wine. To avoid being eliminated and purified by the tides of the times, one must reduce thought inertia, swiftly adapt their thinking to the changes of the era, let go of the self, abandon ego, and resonate with the thoughts and consciousness of the new era, experiencing a rebirth and bravely entering an entirely new epoch. 秀才不出门, the scholar stays home. 写评. The ancients said, a scholar may not leave his home, yet he knows the affairs of the world. Laozi said, without leaving home, one can know the world. Without peering through the window, one can see the way of heaven. The farther one travels, the less one understands. Therefore, the sage knows without acting, sees without looking, and accomplishes without doing. This is quite fascinating. Sitting in front of a computer connected to the internet, one can almost know everything happening in the world. Without traveling, one can appreciate the beauty of the world. Without going to the cinema, one can watch films. Without attending concerts, one can listen to beautiful melodies and singers' voices. Without meeting face-to-face, one can chat freely. Without rushing about, one can complete transactions. Without going to the post office, one can instantly send messages to others. Without visiting the library, one can read a vast range of books. Without searching high and low, one can admire the naked beauty of stunning women. Without physical contact, one can make love with the person they desire. One can not only know the world without leaving home, but also gain from it. Marvelous. The farther one travels, the less one knows suggests that the farther one rushes outward, the less one actually learns, which seems to contradict the saying, read thousands of books and travel thousands of miles. So, which perspective is correct? Read 10,000 books, and your writing will flow with divine inspiration, and by traveling extensively, one learns about shortcuts. This advice, however, is aimed at the general populace. I agree with Laozi's perspective. If one can awaken their spiritual awareness, they can understand that autumn arrives from the fall of a single leaf, and with closed eyes, they can travel thousands of miles in an instant. If one lets their thoughts constantly rush outward, they will be trapped in the monotonous phenomena of the external world, exhausting both body and mind. In the end, after traversing mountains and valleys, one will gain nothing beyond knowledge and experience. I don't know where Bodhidharma went during his 9 years of facing the wall, but throughout history, meditation has allowed people to enter the realm of the non-material. In the depths of stillness, the mind can traverse the tunnels of time and space, soaring freely. One can enjoy the beautiful sights of the heavens and envision limitless futures. Such experiences are inaccessible to those whose minds are absorbed in the constant hustle and bustle of the outside world. The sage knows without acting. Without television, radio, computers, the internet, newspapers, magazines, or hearsay, how can one know without going out? Wouldn't one become like a frog at the bottom of a well? Certainly not. For Laozi is not speaking about ordinary people. but about sages. For the average person, they must strive to act, as only through action can knowledge be gained. Otherwise, they would remain ignorant. But for sages, they already know. When an apple ripens, it will fall. Water naturally flows downhill. Without cultivation, humans will inevitably succumb to, when one is full and warm, lustful desires arise. When one is hungry and cold, thoughts of theft emerge. The seasons will inevitably change. If men remain unmarried and women unwed, they will inevitably resort to petty crimes or illicit affairs. Otherwise, they will be consumed by their desires. Fish will swim in the water. By grasping one concept, one can infer many others. There's no need to act or personally verify everything. The sage sees without looking. A philosopher once said, "I see more clearly when I close my eyes." Indeed, what one sees may be deceptive, and looking may only lead to confusion. Distance tests a horse's strength, and time reveals a person's heart. Does that mean what we see initially is not the true nature? Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. What appears as form is actually emptiness, and what we cannot see, the emptiness, is actually form. Imagine a person from birth to death. Must they not walk the same path trodden by those before them, eating the same food? Despite countless variations, the essence does not change. Whether calm or tempestuous, it is still water. In the Tathagata Buddha's palm, heaven's net is vast, and though its meshes are wide, nothing escapes it. There is no need to look. One understands without looking. I may be occasionally arrogant and tell someone, without my guidance, you will never escape the cave of the silken web. And whether they believe it or not, their path is as obvious as lice on a bald head, a clear truth. Seeing harms the mind, and cleverness obstructs one's understanding of the Tao. Where can one run? There is no escape. The sage accomplishes without doing. How strange! How can one accomplish anything without action? Can one expect a harvest in autumn if one has not sown seeds in spring? Can one obtain a university degree without attending school every day? Can a sumptuous meal suddenly appear on the table without effort? Can one acquire wealth without working or trading? Can one live as long as a pine tree on the southern mountain without exercise or health care? Accomplishing without action? This really leaves one scratching their head in confusion. Yet, upon reflection, there is truth in it. Lose in the east, gain in the west. The old man loses his horse, but it might be a blessing in disguise. Good fortune lies within bad, and bad fortune lurks within good. When you intentionally plant flowers, they may not bloom. When you accidentally plant willows, they grow into shade. Accomplishing without action, there may be divine protection in the unseen. A virtuous person who does not seek blessings will naturally receive them. A schemer who tries to avoid misfortune will find it instead. What good is cleverness? Rather than standing by the river envying the fish, it is wiser to go home and weave a net for oneself. Instead of pursuing with restless effort, it is wiser to find tranquility, allowing one's vision to extend far and one's heart to illuminate the true nature of things. Therefore, the Buddha said, all conditioned phenomena are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, and shadows. Like dew and lightning, thus should you view them. All sages and wise ones differ only in their practice of non-action. It seems the scholar does not leave his home for good reason. 拓展生命的空间, expanding the space of life. 写法, transcending the three realms, beyond the five elements. Migratory birds must migrate to survive. A tree that moves dies, while a person who moves thrives. Sitting at the bottom of a well, one knows little of the sky above. Without stepping out of the mountain valley, one cannot grasp the vastness of the grasslands. Without leaving the human realm, one cannot understand the life of heaven. Stubbornly defending Jinzhou till death leads to entrapment. Retreating from Maiching in defeat highlights the necessity to adapt and move forward. Plants and animals know they must expand their living space, and humans should do the same. Even the simplest person in the countryside knows that sending their children to the city is the only way to break free from the constraints of land. No matter how close siblings may be, if they remain cramped together for too long, resentment will inevitably grow. Even lovers who swear, In heaven, we wish to become birds and fly together. On earth, we wish to grow as two trees with intertwined branches. Will find their passion dull if they confine themselves, ultimately holding hands while feeling like, my left hand holds my right hand. Like flowing water that stays fresh and a door hinge that never rusts, constant movement prevents decay. Rigid thinking is like a dead tree, lifeless and unchanging. Life is a journey. One cannot linger in a pleasure garden. Only by braving 81 trials can one obtain the true sutra. Looking back at the past, whether crossing mountains and rivers or enjoying fragrant flowers under the moonlight, it is the richness and diversity of life that can comfort our existence. A blank sheet of paper, with no words written and no green leaves drawn, holds no value. There is fire in wood, and if it is not ignited, it will eventually rot and decay. How shameful and regrettable! Isolation and a closed society lead to ignorance, backwardness, and infighting. Shutting off one's feelings and heart breeds unreasonable and erratic behavior. Rigid thinking restricts one's perspective, limiting their view of the world. Clinging to one's life space leads to depletion and aridity of existence. The size of your heart determines the vastness of the universe. The depth of your thinking expands the breadth of your life space. For the Life-Genuine Celestials, our life space encompasses not just the human world, but also the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. For common people, however, there is only the human world, and it lasts only a few decades. Observing others' life spaces is akin to watching tadpoles wriggling in a small puddle, which may dry up at any moment, confronting the specter of death. How pitiful! How sad! We must expand our life space. In the article Escaping the Traps of Life, from the chapter of Wisdom, I have already discussed what life traps are and how to escape them. Once we escape the traps, how do we proceed? A person whose ancestors lived in a remote valley can only find a way out by listening to those who have traveled to the plains and cities, building relationships with them, and respecting them. They must be ready to seize the opportunity to courageously leave the valley when the time comes. If communication is cut off and there is no connection to the outside world, escaping becomes exceedingly difficult. In recent years, more and more people have left mainland China for places like North America, Europe, and Australia. These individuals have expanded their living space. We must ask, if they can leave, why can't we? The reason is that they understand the outside world and are always prepared to leave. Once they establish contact with friends and family or other channels outside, they can immediately leap through the Dragon Gate, metaphorically achieving great success, and swim across the Pacific Ocean. Some people are quite shrewd. They live in mainland China yet invest in properties in North America and Australia, laying the groundwork for a backup. If famine strikes China, they can swiftly pack their bags and take flight because they have already expanded their living space. Such individuals are worth learning from. Mainland China emphasizes interpersonal relationships, while places like Taiwan focus on networks. I have discussed the 3 elements of changing one's destiny, and relationships, or networking, is one of them. Expanding our living space relies on these connections, but to ascend to higher realms of life, we must let go of earthly ties and connect with celestial beings. How do we interact with celestial beings? Where are they? When our heart is pure, celestial beings will arrive. Only when one's heart is pure will the celestial beings descend, and you will know where they are and who they are. Those who have settled in Life-Genuine surely understand that today we are completely different from our former selves. Our living space has greatly expanded compared to the past when we lived in cramped 60-square-meter apartments. Now we reside in luxurious 1,000-square-meter villas. Some unfortunate souls have left Life-Genuine, fearing the treacherous path of the guide, and have curled back into their original caves. It's a pity they do not reflect on their own value. How much money, power, or beauty do you possess that is worth deceiving? Is staying in a cave really safe? Wouldn't lying in a coffin buried underground be safer? Even if your painstakingly crafted cave is secure, where will you go in a few decades? We must expand our life space, and the best way to do this is to start with our thinking. Where our thoughts go, our consciousness follows. Where our consciousness reaches, that is where our life will exist in the future. 寻求生命的最佳支点. Seeking the best fulcrum for life. Siefing. Give me a fulcrum, and I can lift the earth. This famous quote from the ancient Greek scientist Archimedes speaks to the power of leverage. But can we truly lift the earth? According to the principle of leverage, when two weights are balanced, their distances from the fulcrum are inversely proportional to their weights. In other words, with just 1 kilogram of force, we could lift a 1,000-kilogram stone, provided the distance from the stone to the fulcrum is 1:1,000 relative to our hand's distance from the fulcrum. Some people become wealthy almost overnight, regardless of whether they achieved it through embezzlement, theft, robbery, deception, alchemy, printing money, contract transfers, or selling official titles. Their ingenuity lies in finding a lucrative fulcrum. Although everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, some can earn 10,000 yuan in that time, while others make only 10. This 1:1,000 difference ultimately comes down to the fulcrum. Going to school, starting a business, holding a government position, writing, and networking. At the root, all of these activities are about finding the best fulcrum in life. Seeking the optimal fulcrum for life and existence is essential. A strong fulcrum allows us to move 1,000 pounds with just 4 ounces, whereas a weak one leads only to an ox struggling to pull a cart. For example, two brothers once made a living by selling water to a parched mountain village. Initially, both earned similar incomes by carrying water down from the mountain. 2 years later, however, the elder brother became prosperous while the younger brother went bankrupt. The reason was that while the younger brother only knew how to carry water, the elder brother ingeniously used bamboo pipes to bring water directly from the source to the village. During the gold rush in the American West, one person found wealth by making cowboy workwear, a different approach to the same goal. Farmers use land as their fulcrum, workers rely on labor, teachers on classroom instruction, pickpockets on other people's wallets, wives on their husbands, husbands on their families, small business owners on their shops, large business owners on their companies, spiritual leaders on their followers, and kings on their people. Everyone has a fulcrum. The principle of leverage in life is to achieve maximum results with minimal time, effort, and investment. Jesus warned us, even if one gains the whole world but loses their life, what good is it? If we ignore the fulcrums of life, rushing back and forth only to ultimately lose our lives, we incur an enormous loss. We must seek the best fulcrum for life, so that when others are forced to struggle for mere survival, we are already leisurely enjoying the joys of life in paradise. So, where is the best fulcrum for life? At present, the 3 best fulcrums for life are Buddha Shakyamuni, Christ Jesus, and Life Genuine. Buddha provides us with a vessel that sails directly to the other shore of life. Christ offers us an unending stream of living water, energy. Life Genuine gives us the roadmap to heaven, the way of life, the way of the greatest creator. These 3 fulcrums form a life cosmos composed of structure, energy, and consciousness. In this world, there are countless religious and spiritual groups, each acting as a fulcrum for life. However, determining which one is the best is a matter of personal judgment. By applying the principle of leverage, achieving the perfect life structure with minimal effort and in the shortest possible time, one can find the best fulcrum. Life is short, with little time to waste going from house to house, strolling through markets, or watching spectacles. Quickly seek out the best fulcrum for life. If you can invest a sesame seed and gain a large watermelon in return, it would be foolish not to seize such an opportunity. With the right fulcrum, you can journey from the human world to the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. 从心所欲不逾矩. Follow your heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. Siefing. At 15, I set my heart on learning. At 30, I took my stand. At 40, I had no doubts. At 50, I understood the heaven's mandate. At 60, I was attuned to the world. At 70, I could follow my heart's desires without overstepping the boundaries of what is right. This is Confucius's theory of the stages of life. Today, while watching Professor Yu Dan from Beijing Normal University on CCTV's 100 Schools Forum discussing the way of life in the Analects, I found it exhilarating. Professor Yu spoke brilliantly. However, it seemed that due to time constraints, she didn't go into depth about the phrase, follow your heart's desires without overstepping the rules. It felt like a delicious peach was just out of reach. What a pity. So, I humbly take the liberty to expand on what Professor you touched upon. Following one's heart essentially means to act according to one's desires. The highest state of this is acting in accordance with one's nature. However, this freedom is not the same as acting recklessly. It comes with the prerequisite of not overstepping boundaries. The word overstep means to surpass or exceed, while boundaries refer to a standard, measure, or law. Therefore, following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries means acting freely within established limits. What are these boundaries? They include the way of heaven, the natural law, state laws and regulations, the rules and regulations of organizations, the principles of benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and trustworthiness, basic morality, customs, and the interests of society and others. Thus, the meaning of following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries is that one may speak, act, or think freely as long as it does not harm others or society, violate customs, disrupt organizational rules, break the Constitution or laws of the state. For party members, the party's discipline. For believers, the rules of their faith. For children and spouses, family rules, etc., or go against the way of heaven and nature. Furthermore, it means adhering to the daily conduct expected of a gentleman within the scope of virtue, morality, benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, trustworthiness, loyalty, filial piety, modesty, patience, and humility. By the time one reaches 70, they should ideally have attained the state of following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. This was the realm Confucius strove for throughout his life. His teachings encourage becoming a gentleman because, as he said, it is only the petty man and woman who are difficult to nurture. However, Confucius's teachings also have a side that can numb human nature. If everyone in society followed Confucius's ideal standards, we would indeed have a society where gentlemen show loyalty to their rulers, fathers are kind to their children, brothers love their younger siblings, husbands are harmonious with their wives, and all people care for one another. A natural, harmonious, peaceful, and tranquil society, free of conflict. But the problem is that if everyone becomes like sheep and a wolf emerges, all the sheep will be in danger and helpless to resist. The more virtuous a person, the more they may suffer, while those with fewer scruples often gain. By his later years, Confucius had realized the potential harm of his teachings, leading him to lament, "If in the morning I hear the way, in the evening I can die content." Though Confucius did not advocate belief in supernatural forces, he still yearned for the way. He called Laozi a divine dragon, whose head can be seen but not its tail, acknowledging his own inferiority and feeling the need to look up to him. So, it might be better to learn from Laozi than from Confucius. How do you feel about this interpretation of following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries? My own feeling can be summed up as simply overwhelming. To understand the way of heaven, natural laws, constitutional laws, party rules and regulations, local customs, morality, virtue, benevolence, righteousness, human rights, and so forth requires an immense amount of knowledge. Without this understanding, one is bound to overstep boundaries, and the effort can be utterly exhausting. So, what should we do? The answer is, revere the greatest creator, revere life, respect nature, follow the way of the greatest creator, accept circumstances as they come, adapt to situations, act according to one's nature, and seize opportunities as they arise. In doing so, whatever you do will be right, whatever you say will be correct, and whatever you think will be appropriate. This is what is meant by good remains good, even if it appears evil. Evil remains evil, even if it appears good. Thus, one can keep the core principle while adapting to changes, and in this way, you can follow your heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. From the various constitutional laws set by the United Nations to the national laws of different countries, to the multitude of rules and regulations in society, laws are becoming more numerous and detailed, yet the world grows increasingly complex and filled with problems. Experience has shown that only by following the way of the greatest creator can humanity achieve the ideal society in the simplest and most effective manner. Confucius might serve well as a teacher for elementary school students, Laozi for high school, Buddha as a university professor, and Jesus for guiding graduate students. Meanwhile, Life Genuine embodies the true state of following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. Life Genuine has no rules or regulations. Its members have no responsibilities or obligations, and there is no one issuing commands. Yet, Life Genuine is harmonious, peaceful, and stable. Its members are motivated, strive for self-improvement, and form close-knit relationships, even willing to sacrifice for each other. If humanity as a whole could live this way, wouldn't we be entering paradise? Don't wait until you're 70 or 80 to follow your heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. Start now, even at the age of 7 or 8. 返老还童第一步. The first step to returning to youth. 写评. Christ Jesus, who saves our souls, warns us, unless you turn and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Buddha Shakyamuni advises that if you still carry the appearance of longevity, you cannot become a bodhisattva. The celestial Laozi guides us to return to our roots and revert to infancy. He said, "What is strong will grow old. This is not the way, and that which is not the way soon ends." He also taught, "Aggressors do not die natural deaths." I consider this a teaching. If fortunate enough to visit the heavenly realm of the thousand-year world, you'll find that the celestials there almost all resemble children, with pure, beautiful hearts, playful yet embodying the highest goodness, mischievous yet authentic, wise yet simple, carefree yet caring. Wudong Master Zhang Sanfeng's famous saying is, "Going with the flow makes one ordinary. Going against the flow makes one immortal." This is the reversal within the Tao. The teachings of gods, Buddhas, celestials, saints, and Xiefeng's insights from Life Genuine reveal a truth. If you wish to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must first become like a child. What should be the aim of our cultivation and practice? The answer is, return to youth and revert to the state of infancy. Please note that returning to youth does not mean our bodies should become those of children again. Rather, it signifies that our spiritual essence should return to the heart and mind of a child. We should not be bound by the appearance of longevity and should not think that because we are in our 40s or 50s, we cannot play, cry, or have childish fits. The first step to returning to youth is to strive for purity, authenticity, naturalness, and spontaneity. Who isn't afraid of wild lions and tigers? Would you fear them? Now, if they were lion cubs or tiger cubs, would you still be afraid? I once saw a scene at Lion Park in Harare where people, both adults and children, happily and affectionately petted several lion cubs. The cubs were playful and endearing. No one was afraid. Why? Because the cubs are pure. Have you heard the story of the wolf children? Babies raised by wolves. Would you dare to go to a wolf's den to be raised by wolves? Why not? Because the babies are pure, while you have lost that purity. There is a story in the Bible where 3 men are thrown into a furnace and are not burned. Why were they unharmed? Because they were pure. Laozi said, "I have heard that those who excel at preserving life do not encounter rhinos or tigers on land, nor are they harmed by weapons in battle. The rhino finds no place for its horn, the tiger no place for its claws, and weapons find nothing to cut." Can you become invisible? No, right? Why? Because you are no longer pure. Your desires cloud your thoughts. Why can't children become invisible? Because they lack that desire. When a child sees someone eating an apple, they immediately call out, "Mom, Mom, I want an apple too." But adults, even if drooling inside, pretend to be indifferent. Why? Because children are authentic, while adults are hypocritical. When a child is sad, they cry. When hungry, they shout. Adults, however, say, "Real men don't shed tears," or "You must have self-control." Why? Because children are real and adults are false. When someone sees a beautiful woman, they may instinctively look twice and say, "She's beautiful." Others may feel an itch, wishing to take her as a second wife, yet sarcastically mock that person for their lack of taste, calling them superficial. Why? Because the first person is genuine, while the second is hypocritical. As long as what you feel does not match what you say and do, you are not genuine. When it snows, little Mau Mau and Jia next door play joyfully in the snow, even touching Jia's rosy cheeks, two innocent children. But who has seen old Zhang next door playing joyfully with Andy? Would old Zhang dare touch Andy's cheeks? This shows the difference between following one's nature and not. Children act naturally, while adults are bound by societal morals, unable to act freely. No matter how distinguished the guests at home, if a child is tired, they'll simply sleep. So natural. But adults won't. Even with drooping eyelids, they insist, "I'm not tired. I'm not tired." Unnatural. In short, if we maintain purity, authenticity, spontaneity, and naturalness, we are returning to youth. Childhood is joyous and happy. Middle and old age are less so. So why not return to youth? Imagine a pond that continually receives fresh water and drains from the other side. It will never dry up and will stay fresh. Without fresh water, it will stagnate or flood. Childhood is like the fresh pond with inflow and outflow. Middle and old age are like a stagnant pond that grows foul. By maintaining our pure, authentic, spontaneous, and natural nature, we stay connected to the fresh source of life. Holding on to old views and resisting new ones is like blocking that source, causing life to wither and making it harder to return to youth. Those who speak freely and openly, saying what they think, just as they think it, are people with a childlike heart. They are lovable people and are more likely to enter the heavenly kingdom. But those who are deeply scheming, vigilant from every angle, with everything they say perfectly calculated and without a trace of error, these people can be intimidating. It's hard to know what they are truly thinking, and while they may be exceptionally clever, they are far from the kingdom of heaven. Let's imagine this scenario. If you were the manager of the heavenly kingdom, what kind of people would you admit into its society? 化矛盾于无形, resolving contradictions in the invisible. 写评. Low intelligence stirs trouble, moderate intelligence competes, great intelligence appears foolish, and supreme intelligence is formless. Wherever there is noise and conflict, it is a gathering place for those of low intelligence. In places filled with competition, people of moderate intelligence are vying for dominance. In communities where simplicity and harmony with nature prevail, great minds are quietly strategizing. And in nations marked by peace and prosperity, the true masters remain unseen, metaphorically playing with mud. The signs of low intelligence are as follows. Couples who frequently argue, causing distress to neighbors and friends, both display low intelligence regardless of the reason for their quarrels. Siblings and friends who bicker publicly show signs of low intelligence. The U.S. invasion of Iraq, Iran's uranium enrichment, and North Korea's nuclear testing are all actions stemming from low intelligence. Those who write provocatively online to draw attention are also demonstrating low intelligence. People who drift aimlessly, unfocused, and impatient are likewise of low intelligence. The signs of moderate intelligence are as follows. Those who engage in intense competition, whether rising to prominence or facing defeat, in fields like politics, business, war, romance, gambling, or sports, demonstrate moderate intelligence. Officials and celebrities of all types fall within this realm. Anyone who finds joy in competition, winning and losing, or contests, is a person of moderate intelligence. The signs of great intelligence appearing foolish are as follows. Nobel Prize winners, masters in various fields, and philosophers generally display great intelligence that may seem foolish to others. Such individuals stand at a height and view life from a broader perspective. They are unmoved by trivial gains or immediate disputes and assess situations with long-term vision. Once they decide on a path, they don't turn back unless they have no choice, which can make them appear somewhat foolish. The signs of supreme intelligence being formless are as follows. The greatest creator manages the universe without form. The laws of physics discovered by scientists operate invisibly. The laws of nature, the workings of Tao, and the ways saints resolve conflicts, all of these occur without form. Resolving contradictions in the invisible. The most skilled doctors do not treat diseases directly. They prevent illnesses from arising, curing sickness at its root, invisibly. The most adept generals do not command armies. They turn enemies into friends, rendering armies unnecessary, achieving victory invisibly. The wisest kings do not govern by laws. They govern the hearts of their people, ruling invisibly. The best merchants do not merely trade. They cultivate relationships, gathering talent to themselves, accumulating wealth invisibly. The most capable officials do not publicly wield power. They empower others, orchestrating everything from behind the scenes, governing invisibly. The wisest scholars do not simply study. They attain enlightenment by understanding the books without words. They grasp what others can and cannot, attaining wisdom in the formless realm. Life Genuine seeks to unify all teachings, allowing nations, religions, political parties, and families to dissolve, ushering in humanity's long-desired Life Genuine era. Can anyone detect such changes? Practitioners seeking the Tao must resolve all contradictions invisibly, starting with balance, balancing relationships, mental and psychological states, and physiological harmony. Avoid contention, arguments, disturbances, fighting, obsession, and extremism. In daily life, attend to your responsibilities, respond swiftly to emergencies, and handle relationships thoughtfully, whether with superiors, subordinates, family members, or neighbors. Show respect when required and maintain humility when needed. Avoid disputes, remain calm, and wait for the right moment to resolve disharmonies invisibly, allowing everything to unfold naturally. What is the secret to resolving myriad contradictions invisibly? The answer lies in thought. Thinking is a form of spiritual power, an invisible force. Use this invisible power to resolve all visible conflicts and contradictions. 最容易获得的最珍贵. The most easily obtained is the most precious. Xiefeng. Heaven has a benevolent nature that cherishes life, and a noble person has a heart to help others achieve good. The earth nurtures all things, and the way of heaven governs and transforms everything. The strong have their paths, and the weak have their roles. The weak, like earthworms, are well provided for, while the strong, like tigers and leopards, may meet their demise halfway. The grace of heaven bathes all living beings. Reflecting on the vastness of the universe and feeling the nurturing of the sacred spirit, one contemplates in silence, holding gratitude in their heart. The most easily obtained is often the most precious. Fish swim in water. Without it, there would be no fish. Humans breathe in air. Without it, they perish. Air is the most precious and the easiest to acquire. A person can live without gold or silver, just as a horse can run without a copper saddle. Air arrives effortlessly at our mouths and noses, allowing us to breathe with ease. Water flows through both sky and earth, incredibly precious, yet easily accessible. Salt, abundant and immeasurably valuable, is easily obtainable. Sunlight, shining upon all things, is extraordinarily precious and the easiest to acquire. Parents, with their bonds of flesh and blood, are extremely precious, a gift received without effort. Indeed, it is a proven truth that the most easily obtained is often the most precious. This is a gift from the greatest Creator. We need to stay highly aware that everything that comes to us easily is precious. Praise and encouragement easily gained are valuable. Work easily obtained is precious. Love and friendship that come easily are priceless. Easily found paths are precious. Students, disciples, teachers, and mentors that come into our lives without effort are treasures. Life itself, easily obtained, is precious, and death, when it comes peacefully, is equally so. The great way is very simple, but people prefer shortcuts, said the sage Laozi. He meant that the flattest, easiest path embodies the essence of the great way. Yet, people often abandon what is close for what is distant, forsake what is easy for what is difficult, and overlook the most ordinary things while chasing the extraordinary. Laozi criticized this as not the way. It is not the great path, but a misguided one. People tend to have a cognitive bias in their thinking. They often ignore what's close and undervalue what they already have, placing greater importance on things far away, things they have not yet attained, or things that are hard to acquire. For example, we often take siblings for granted. spending energy to befriend strangers instead. This is a mistake. We should first cherish and value the relationships that are close and easily found. Distant relatives are less valuable than nearby neighbors, and neighborly relationships are crucial. They deserve our care and respect. People in Jesus and Buddha's hometowns did not appreciate them, reflecting a common cognitive bias. In China, it's not unusual to look down on close friends or colleagues who achieve greatness while applauding strangers. Chinese people who succeed may be viewed with skepticism, while foreigners who succeed are celebrated. The living are criticized, but the dead are lauded. This is all due to biased thinking. In seeking the Tao, if wise individuals are nearby, we should first learn from them and take them as mentors, rather than traveling thousands of miles in search of a teacher. Every small event around us is part of the Tao and reveals divine insight. We should seek understanding from these small events, rather than exhausting ourselves on lengthy classics. Doing good deeds should start with those around us, without feeling we must go far or abroad to share teachings. Eating, dressing, sleeping, and walking contain profound wisdom. There is no need to start with the works of ancient Greek philosophers. The most easily obtained is the most precious. A humble pot can surpass gold and jade. Searching downward is easier than searching upward. It's far easier to form a close friendship with a shepherd than with a celebrity or a governor. In the Life of Genuine community, it's easy to find kindred spirits and connect with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. This is exceptionally precious and deserves our respect and care. We should not think that what is easily obtained lacks value. On the contrary, the most easily obtained is the most precious. We should see it as a gift from heaven and consider this principle as a treasure for life. In the chapter of Revelation, I have written about the principle of least resistance. Laozi teaches that great tasks are accomplished through small steps, and difficult tasks are achieved through ease. If we approach our endeavors by following the principle of least resistance, viewing what is easily obtained as the most precious, our lives will become clearer, simpler, more relaxed, and fulfilling. Resistance will transform into motivation, and suffering will turn into happiness. Give it a try. 神奇的第一次. The magical first time. Xiefeng. Have you ever noticed this phenomenon? The first time you meet someone, the first time you interact with them, or the first time you observe them doing something. If they leave a good impression, all subsequent interactions tend to go smoothly. However, if they leave a bad impression, no matter how much time passes, you will always feel that your interactions with them are fraught with difficulties and obstacles. I once hired a carpenter to make some furniture. The first time he sawed a board, he cut it crookedly. A shadow of doubt passed through my mind, but I thought it might be a momentary lapse. However, what followed was unforgettable. He was careless and inefficient, ultimately wasting my materials, time, and energy. From that moment, I learned that if the first impression is negative, I must immediately cut ties. There's no use dragging things out. The first time I interacted with a friend's acquaintance, I noticed his eyes wandered and occasionally flashed a cunning look. I had a twinge of doubt, but continued the interaction. Later, I asked him for help with 2 small tasks, and both times he tried to outsmart me and did something sneaky. Since then, I've realized the importance of first impressions. If the feeling is good, continue. If the feeling is bad, stop immediately. Looking back, many of life's disappointments arise because we ignore the signals people send during our first encounter. If we observe carefully, every first encounter is like a revelation, telling us whether to continue or break ties. If your first visit to a place leaves you unhappy or things don't go well, don't go back. If your first date with someone leaves you disappointed, don't keep dating them. If your first collaboration with someone makes you feel hurt or upset, don't work with them again. The feelings from the first encounter are the most genuine, and the first impression is a sign from above. How we handle the information from our first experience determines whether our lives will be smooth or difficult. People or things that bring us joy during our first encounter are usually beneficial to us. We should treasure, keep, and nurture them. On the other hand, people or things that cause us pain or discomfort during our first encounter are usually detrimental, and we should immediately let them go. When dealing with first encounters, it's essential to trust yourself. This isn't about experience, wisdom, knowledge, age, or gender. It's about intuition and your true inner feelings. Don't rely on the advice or warnings of others, whether they are masters, scholars, great figures, friends, or elders. They can't feel what you feel in your heart. The signals that heaven gives us through first impressions are the most beneficial, the most accurate, and the most protective. You shouldn't rely on your own experience or wisdom to judge, but should listen to the insights and guidance of your feelings. Regularly ask yourself, does he or she or it make me feel comfortable? If the answer is yes, treasure it. Don't listen to others' evaluations, nor to the reminders of well-meaning people who say, I'm doing this for your own good. Only you know what you feel, others don't. We're often taught, unite with everyone who can be united, tolerate those with opposing views, be as inclusive as possible, believe people can change, and be patient. They'll come around. These are all misguided ideas. A person's transformation requires hundreds or thousands of years of cultivation, and patience belongs to the divine, not to us. We have only a few decades to live, and it's a painful waste to spend that time waiting for others to change. We should seek out people who bring joy and happiness to our lives. Why endure long-term mental torment and emotional abuse? Birds of a feather flock together. Ignorant people gather with ignorant people, worldly people with worldly people, mortals with mortals, sages with sages, and celestial beings with celestial beings. When they're together, even playing in the mud can be fun. But when sages are with worldly people, or celestial beings are with mortals, no matter what they do, it brings only suffering. Even if they're sharing love, it feels deeply uncomfortable. Everyone's life structure is different. Water and milk can mix, but water and oil can't. Pigs stay with pigs, sheep with sheep. People should be with those whose spirits resonate with theirs. Whether spirits resonate depends entirely on physiological and spiritual responses, and the best opportunity for that resonance occurs during the first observation or contact. That's why the first time can be called the magical first time. People fear loneliness and isolation, so they often compromise themselves to fit in with others, saying, all right, I'll just go along with this. But pleasing others doesn't alleviate our loneliness. Instead, it leads to deeper helplessness and frustration. Life is only a few short decades. It's better to live one happy day than to endure 100 years of misery. It's better to die in a moment of joy than to live 1,000 years in humiliation. Trust that first impression. If it's good, cherish it and continue. If it's bad, cut ties and let it go. 异想天开玩玩特异功能. Whimsical fantasies, exploring extraordinary abilities. Xiefeng. First, let me clarify, this is purely a game, so don't take it too seriously. The unconventional thinking theory of Life Echanuan teaches us that nothing is impossible. There are only things we haven't thought of yet. There's nothing we cannot do. Only things that are beyond the limits of our current thinking. Our minds are often constrained by the thought processes of others, which keeps us ordinary. But when we engage in unconventional thinking, defying norms and letting our imaginations soar, we can break free from these constraints. We can transform into extraordinary beings, into incredible individuals who can follow their heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. Come, let's play with extraordinary abilities. Close your eyes and visualize a scene. You'll see a more vivid and clear picture. Trust your intuition to sense what tomorrow's weather will be like, what the person you're thinking of is doing at this moment, what your tomorrow and future will look like, who you might meet, and so on. Experiment for a month and observe the results. Let your heart guide your actions. Quietly listen to your inner voice. Amid the chaotic noise, you will hear a particularly clear sound. Follow its guidance and see what happens. Trust yourself. From your heart, summon a bird to fly to your window or a nearby tree, or call upon someone you've missed for a long time to appear before you or give you a surprise call. Sit on the floor with a cushion and focus on an object, trying to make it move. Take a spoon, concentrate, and try to bend it with your gaze. Try influencing someone nearby with your thoughts and see if they act according to your will. Plug your ears and listen for any ghostly or divine voices around you. Lie in bed, close your eyes, and imagine soaring into the sky. See if you can become invisible in an instant. Stand still, and see if you can grab something several meters away with your hand. Stay in your room, close your eyes, and try to see what your neighbor is doing. Think of ways to turn water into wine and wine back into water. Focus on a specific person and see if you can dream about making love to them in the coming days. Close your eyes, stretch out your palms, and explore in all directions, sensing how your palms react to heat and cold. Or take a book, roll it up, and sense the warmth or cold it conveys. If a part of your body is ill, imagine it as perfect. Use your thoughts to expel impurities and infuse it with the essence of the sun, moon, and earth's energy. Keep this up for several days and observe the results. By changing your diet and mental state, you might notice that your gas and stool take on a unique fragrance, entirely free of any foul smell. Those interested can explore this phenomenon. From someone's gaze, demeanor, posture, tone, words, and speech, you can discern the beauty or ugliness of their soul, even their consciousness or the non-material structure of their life. Think about how you can achieve this. Isn't this fun? It's more entertaining than playing with mud or make-believe games. Playing mental games brings immense joy. As you play, you might discover more variations, gain a deeper understanding of the infinite, cherish life more, and step into a broader world. But remember, never play games that harm others for your own benefit. Thoughts are powerful forces, and careless actions can cause unseen harm. A single thought can become the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's essential to follow the teachings of Christ and Buddha, correcting your body and mind first, to attain a state of enlightenment. Straying from this path can turn you into a demon. Always guard your heart. In darkness, a guilty conscience is clearly seen by the divine eye, like lightning. This is why Life Genuine does not encourage the cultivation of extraordinary abilities. The above is just a whimsical game of thought. Don't take it too seriously, and don't become obsessed or lose yourself in it. 如如不动与随性而动, unshakable in following one's nature. 写法. The ultimate truth of the universe remains unshakable and unchanged for all eternity. Yet, all phenomena in the universe move in accordance with their nature, as they have done for eons. The way, Tao, is like the void, unmoving and unchanged through the ages. Yet, the profound truths of Zen adapt to the moment, always flowing with the present. Reverence for the greatest creator remains unshakable, regardless of how time changes, how complex the world becomes, or whether one finds themselves in favorable or adverse circumstances, in heaven or hell. Reverence for life remains unshakable, as all living beings arise from the same source. With empathy and compassion, we share in the joys and sorrows of all living creatures. Reverence for nature remains unshakable, as the sun, moon, stars, mountains, rivers, plants, animals, and insects all possess a spirit that sustains our lives. Filial piety toward parents remains unshakable, for their nurturing love is as vast as the sky and the earth. Whether you are close by or far away, in times of prosperity or hardship, their love endures. Adherence to laws and regulations remains unshakable, as they uphold order, reward goodness, and punish evil. A good citizen respects the laws of the land. Loving others as yourself remains unshakable, as taught by Jesus, Buddha, Laozi, and other wise sages. We are to love others as we love ourselves. Enjoying affection remains constant, whether between rulers and subjects, parents and children, spouses, lovers, siblings, or friends. Love, like water and flowers, is graceful and flowing. Enjoying sexual love remains constant, a divine and ecstatic gift. It is natural to love one another. This is heaven's law. Refining one's character remains unshakable, as there are 18 levels of human quality, each offering a different life experience. One should constantly strive to enhance their character. Perfecting one's life remains unshakable. People evolve from ignorance, worldliness, and mortality to becoming sages, land celestials, deity celestials, super celestial beings, and even gods or Buddhas. Continuous self-improvement leads to higher levels of existence. The universe is filled with a boundless heart, and all beings move in accordance with the way. Like a drop of water in the sea or a cloud in the sky, Everything is precisely placed by the way. To follow the way, rely on intuition. True wisdom may appear foolish, and true intelligence is formless. Do not depend on experience or reason. Logical deductions will fail, and scientific experiments cannot prove everything. Instead, follow your nature. At a crossroads, follow your nature. Do not rely on intellect. Listen to the guidance of your inner spirit. When facing a dead end, follow your nature. Let your heart guide you, whether to go up, down, left, or right. The best solution may be to abandon rational thought. In matters of success and failure, follow your nature. Blessings may hide within misfortune, and misfortune within blessings. The greatest creator's arrangements are always in your best interest. When choosing a career, follow your nature. What comes most easily is the most precious. What flows naturally is meant for you. At the ends of the earth, follow your nature. Take a plane if it comes, a carriage if it comes. Root yourself wherever the wind blows and blossom there. At the moment of life and death, follow your nature. The way's arrangements are perfect, without error. The more you struggle, the more you suffer. In adversity, follow your nature. The way rewards and punishes clearly. Do not force yourself to exceed your limits. When confronting evil, follow your nature. Whether to fight or retreat like a turtle, listen to the voice of your spirit. Do not be led by anger or hatred. When facing the opposite sex, follow your nature. Attraction or repulsion arises naturally, and your body and mind will react accordingly. In advancing or retreating, follow your nature. Advancing in the wrong direction takes you further from the truth, while retreating in the right direction returns you to your true nature. Whether to advance or retreat, follow your nature. In matters of eating, drinking, and bodily needs, follow your nature. Whether sour, sweet, bitter, or spicy, vegetarian or meat, smoke or drink, embrace whatever comes naturally without force. In preferences and dislikes, follow your nature. Bees make honey, mice dig burrows. Just as humans exist at different levels, ignorant, worldly, mortal, or wise. Respect your nature and follow the way. At birth, our nature is set. Height, beauty, and talent are already determined. Birds fly in the sky, fish swim in the water. Lose your sense of place, and you may fall into madness. Do not envy the talented or covet the wealthy. Tend to your own field and live freely. Do not cling to possessions or dominate others. Enjoy bodily and spiritual freedom on the path to immortality. Eat fruit when you desire, visit relatives when you wish. Travel with the wind, retreat against it. Mind your own affairs and don't meddle in others. Go with the flow, adapt to fate, follow your nature, and act according to circumstances. Eat ripe peaches when they fall, taste apricots when they are ready. Forced fruit is never sweet, and forced paths are never smooth. In the quest to attain immortality, remain unshakable. Slowly but surely, water cuts through stone, and every drop has an effect. The divine eye is like lightning, and when the time comes, things will naturally come to fruition. In daily life, follow your nature. Be lively and flexible, revealing the universe's boundless vitality. Do not stubbornly cling to the past or outdated rules. Mountains move, rivers flow, and life thrives on movement. The pursuit and realization of the way depend on fluidity. There are no fixed methods or forms. In the endless change lies boundless joy. 必要时跟着感觉走. Follow your intuition when necessary. 写评. Humans have 6 senses: sight, hearing, taste, smell, touch, and spiritual perception. Intuition, often referred to as the sixth sense, is the most basic level of spiritual perception. On the afternoon of November 2nd, 2006, I suddenly felt uneasy. At that moment, I was concerned about my wife, who was on a bus traveling from XX to XX. My intuition told me that something serious was going to happen to the bus she was on. I immediately prayed to the greatest creator, Almighty God. My wife is incredibly important to me. Please don't let anything bad happen to the bus she is on. I beg you, God. Amen. My wife arrived home safely. After she walked into the living room, I asked her how the trip had gone, and if anything had happened about 80 kilometers from XX. She said, about 70 to 80 kilometers from XX, the tire blew out. I asked for more details, and she explained. It was really dangerous. I had been sitting right above the tire that exploded, but all of a sudden, I started to feel anxious and uncomfortable, so I moved to a seat in front. About 10 minutes later, there was a loud bang, and the tire under my original seat exploded. It blew a big hole under the seat, and even the metal flew off. Initially, I thought the bus would flip over, but instead, the rear right tire burst. Fortunately, my wife moved away just in time. There weren't many passengers on the bus, and there was even a newlywed couple. This story is true, and anyone interested can verify it. Now, let's consider this phenomenon. Why did I suddenly feel uneasy and immediately pray to God? And more importantly, why did my wife suddenly feel anxious and change her seat without any apparent reason? This is a kind of feeling, and both my wife and I acted on it. Of course, the credit goes to the greatest creator. A similar incident once occurred in the United States. The police were trying to locate a criminal and had narrowed it down to one of 3 areas, but they couldn't pinpoint the exact location. A seasoned detective, deep in thought, stared at a map and suddenly pointed to a spot, saying, "The criminal is right here." The police moved in, and sure enough, they caught the criminal at the spot the detective had indicated. When asked how he knew, the detective replied, "No reason. My intuition told me." In late 1998, an article titled, "Based on Intuition, I Concluded He Was Innocent," was published in the Procuratorate Daily. It told the story of Mr. Thomas, a juror in a child molestation case. Initially, he gave in to the opinions and pressure of other jurors, reluctantly voting for a guilty verdict. However, he couldn't shake the feeling that the verdict was wrong, which tormented him. Eventually, this frugal elderly man used his own money to hire a lawyer to appeal the case for the defendant, Cherwak, who had already been sentenced to 10 years in prison. The appellate court overturned the original verdict, and later, the alleged victim retracted their accusation, leading to Cherwak's release. Thomas became a local hero, praised for his conscience and courage. When people asked why he did it, Thomas said it was simply his intuition. Even though the 13-year-old victim had made accusations and the defendant had failed a polygraph test, he felt intuitively that it was a carefully arranged scheme, and that the 13-year-old boy had fabricated the charges to prevent his mother from marrying the defendant. In another case, a man was identified as a major suspect in a murder investigation, and all the available evidence seemed to incriminate him. However, a chance encounter led the investigating officer to witness the man making every effort to help an injured child. At that moment, the officer had a strong intuition that the man was innocent. He believed that someone so caring could not possibly commit such a brutal act against another person. Supported by this conviction, he conducted a more thorough investigation, eventually uncovering evidence that proved the man's innocence, leading to his exoneration. It is said that Socrates once made a bet with a group of nobles, claiming he could get an uneducated young slave to articulate knowledge he had never learned. In front of everyone, Socrates engaged the 8-year-old slave in a dialogue, and astonishingly, the child was able to state the Pythagorean theorem. Socrates used this instance to illustrate that human wisdom is already hidden within each person's heart. The key is how to bring it to the surface. Gauss, known as the Prince of Mathematicians, displayed remarkable intuition at a young age. When he was 10, his math teacher, Mr. Butner, assigned the class the following problem. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 97 plus 98 plus 99 plus 100 equals? As soon as the teacher explained the problem, Gauss quickly sent his slate with the answer to the front of the classroom. The teacher, without even looking at it, assumed that the youngest student had either submitted a blank sheet or written down random numbers. It was not until much later that another student brought the answer up to the teacher. When Mr. Butner reviewed the answers, he was shocked to find that Gauss's answer was 50-50, while the others were incorrect. Mr. Butner, an experienced teacher, recognized that this was no ordinary event. After class, he bought a top-notch arithmetic book and gave it to Gauss, telling him, "You have surpassed me. There is nothing more I can teach you." This story is well known, But if we reflect calmly, it is astounding that a 10-year-old child, without any prior knowledge of summing sequences, could compute the answer so quickly and accurately. The reason lies not just in his strong foundation in mathematics, but also in his exceptional intuitive reasoning ability. The Russian chemist Mendeleev spent a long time researching the relationships between chemical elements, but was struggling to create the periodic table. He had everything planned out in his mind, but he just couldn't get the table to come together. After 3 sleepless nights of intense thought, he collapsed on his desk and fell asleep. Unexpectedly, while dreaming, he saw the various elements perfectly arranged in their rightful places on the table. Upon waking, Mendeleev quickly jotted down the table he had envisioned in his dream, later discovering that it only needed one minor correction. Someone humorously remarked, "Let's go to sleep with our problems in mind." Former U.S. President George W. Bush once told the renowned journalist Bob Woodward that intuition was a key reason behind his decision to go to war in Iraq, saying, "I believe in intuition. I act on instinct." Plato referred to intuition as the eye of the soul. Prince Charles of England once said, "Deep within each of us lies our instinctual intuition. If we trust it, it can provide us with most of the reliable guidance we need in life." Intuition has several characteristics. Instantaneity. It does not require a series of complex reasoning processes, but instead involves a sudden, intuitive insight into the characteristics or even essence of a matter. Sensitivity. It can perceive certain intrinsic elements from complex phenomena, capturing the essence of things. Non-logicality. It does not rely on concepts as intermediaries for judgment and does not require logical processes of concepts, judgments, and reasoning. Instead, it rapidly projects the intuitive recognition pattern onto the object of recognition, generating an impression. Intuition tells me that this person is dishonest. What's the reason? There is no reason. I feel that this journey won't go smoothly. Why? For no reason. I feel like I've been to this place before. Really? When? I can't quite say. I feel like I've seen this person before. Where? When? I can't be sure. I have a good feeling about this place. What exactly do you mean? I can't quite explain. I just have a good feeling. Sometimes, feelings can be so real that they overshadow countless plans or rigorous logical reasoning. Knowledge, experience, and wisdom can sometimes seem insignificant in the face of intuition. I encourage everyone, whether it's about making friends, choosing a career or workplace, traveling, or predicting the future, to first take a moment to feel it out and, if necessary, follow your intuition. The Great Way, Tao, and the Small Path. Xiefeng. Life walks the great way, while human experience walks the small path. One cannot logically walk 2 paths at once. How can a person walk on 2 roads simultaneously? Limited understanding leads to confused thinking, which in turn leads to disordered consciousness, ultimately resulting in a failed life. A life without an ultimate goal, no matter how glorious, is ultimately a failure. A life that has not experienced joy, no matter how many merits are achieved, is ultimately meaningless. The best life is one that not only enjoys a rich and colorful journey, but also elevates life to higher dimensional realms. When we understand the principles of life, master its mysteries, and steadfastly walk the great way of life, our minds and eyes are opened, allowing us to enjoy life playfully. When we know the value and meaning of life and understand that life is merely a journey for life, we can go with the flow, act naturally, and happily explore the small path of human nature, enjoying life along the way. To walk the great way of life. First, we must understand the origins of life, the cycle of reincarnation, and life's various realms. Without grasping these concepts, our lives will be lost in confusion. Where did I come from? Where am I going? Without direction or goals, we'll spend a lifetime going in circles, ending up with nothing but fleeting illusions. What value or meaning is there in that? Walking the great way of life. Neither mystical methods nor techniques constitute the way. There are no fixed rules. There are countless paths, and each path may lead to heaven. However, each path may also lead to hell. How can we be sure that the path we practice leads to heaven and not hell? Whether it's this practice or that one, these are merely tools. How do we know if what we're learning is not sorcery or witchcraft, but rather celestial or Taoist techniques? Moreover, words and scriptures are not the way. The Bible, the Quran, Buddhist sutras, the Tao Te Ching, and the writings or lectures of any master are not the way. These are all fingers pointing at the moon, but focusing on the finger will never let us see the moon. We must learn to read the sky, the earth, people, objects, and phenomena. We must learn to comprehend through Zen enlightenment, to awaken, and to sense deeply. Likewise, the guide is not the way either. The guide is not the scenic destination, but merely a living finger pointing the way. Have you truly understood this? Each of us knows this truth within our own hearts. The study of life is not a gamble. It cannot be approached with the mindset of a gambler. Some say, if you just believe, you will gain life. If that were true, does it mean anyone who believes can win in a casino? Or that if you believe hard enough, jumping from a tall building won't harm you? Others claim, if you chant a mantra daily, you'll be reborn in the Western Pure Land. If that were true, could we say that eating ginseng daily will guarantee long life and immunity to disease? Or that bathing daily will make one's skin as smooth as jade? Without investigating the principles and instead clinging to lucky hopes, unwilling to take steady, practical steps, always looking for shortcuts to instant success, where does such a wonderful thing exist? The study of life is an exact science. There is no room for ambiguity or chance. Every step must be taken with precision, and every detail must be thoroughly understood. Thus, life must walk the great way, not the small path. To walk the small path of life, the path most people follow is repetitive and monotonous. For thousands of years, it has remained the same. We are born, go to school, study more, find a job, buy a house, get married, have children, watch them grow up, retire, and wait for death. This entire process can be imagined without ever experiencing it. Why bother following the same steps as everyone else? Life is a journey, just a process for life. Whether you repeat others' paths or blaze a new trail through uncharted jungles, the outcome is still death. So why not focus on enjoying every moment and aspect of life? I advocate that life is but a dream. All is emptiness. Fully experience it without regret. Confucius didn't understand the meaning of following the heart's desires without overstepping boundaries until he was 70, too late. Can you still follow your desires at 70 when you've lost all your teeth and can't even bite into an apple, let alone dry beans? How can you follow your heart's desires then? So, life should walk the small path. Dare to take roads others have not taken. If everyone goes to the desert, I'll go to the forest. As long as it brings me joy and doesn't harm others or society, why must I follow others' paths? If I have a headache, will you suffer for me? Every person is unique, and no two things in this world are exactly alike. Therefore, life's paths should not be forced into uniformity but should be diverse and colorful. Life is short, but life is everlasting. Let our brief life be rich, colorful, and filled with joy, while our long-lasting life remains ever hopeful and full of infinite dreams. Onward, with joy and happiness, let us climb toward the highest realm of life, the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. 丰富自己的内涵, enrich your inner self. 写品. Solomon's treasure captivates us because it contains rare gems, while nature's extraordinary beauty lies in its endless variety. Supermarkets attract customers with their dazzling array of goods, and a wise person seems unfathomable due to their rich inner world. In Revelation chapter, I wrote an article titled, Simplicity plus Purity equals Beauty. This simplicity does not mean barren, lifeless, dull, or devoid of charm. It certainly does not imply being completely exposed, and even less does it refer to being simple-minded or foolish. Rather, simplicity means having a rich and orderly inner world, with a pure and beautiful heart that captivates and delights others, drawing them in to linger. A remarkable piece of writing doesn't rely on fancy words, and a person of great character reveals only their true nature. Only when someone has a rich inner world can they attain greatness in the most ordinary way. Greatness in the ordinary can be an illusion. Pure ordinariness is too simple. Only after crossing mountains, rivers, deserts, and peaks can one finally rest in a kind of ordinariness that is truly exceptional. In the legend of Jigong is wealthier than any billionaire. He is so simple. His shoes are worn, his hat is worn, his robe is also worn. Yet we can never guess how much treasure he holds. He seems to have nothing, but can turn stone into gold. He appears inactive yet accomplishes everything. One could say Jigong's inner world is extraordinarily rich. Some religious teachers instruct their followers to enter only one gate, read only one scripture, worship only one master, and seek only one form of power. I disagree. If I were a master, I would first encourage my disciples to experience all religions, read every scripture, follow various masters, practice different methods, explore unconventional paths, and taste wild fruits. Only in this way can they gain great wisdom, discern right from wrong, navigate with ease, discover new paths, and ultimately find peace, returning to the state of the infant, to the boundless, and to ordinariness. In other words, don't just read Marxism. Also read the Bible and Buddhist scriptures. Otherwise, you'll remain stuck in one-sided prejudice. Scientists should learn some spiritual knowledge, and Christians and Muslims should read Buddhist texts. Tibetan Buddhist practitioners could explore teachings from the New Age, like those from Seth and Oren. Those who read the Tao Te Ching could experience Osho's life and listen to conversations with God. Qigong practitioners should study feng shui, face reading, astrology, palmistry, onomastics, and the principles of yin-yang and the 5 elements. Yoga practitioners could delve into the I Ching. Fortune tellers and spiritualists should learn about quantum physics and the holographic universe. Those who study astronomy and seek extraterrestrial life could explore the vast and wondrous non-material world. Those engaged in meditation and self-cultivation should try practices like Zhonggong, Falun Gong, Natural Gong, Xuanji Gong, Tai Chi, and other unconventional methods. Seekers who endlessly spin around abstract concepts should occasionally play in the mud with children. There's Tao in mud play too. Astute merchants see profit everywhere, while wise sages with enlightened eyes find Zen in everything. Eating, drinking, sleeping, playing cards, and even mahjong are all methods of practicing Tao. Flashes of spiritual insight appear everywhere. In short, enrich your inner self. Plants grow strong with sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide, but they also need nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. A mature life depends on the greatest creator, the Tao, and a richly developed inner world. Simplicity is beautiful, but simplicity without knowledge is not only unappealing, it can even be ugly. The mysteries of nature are wrapped in layers. The merciful greatest creator cares for simple creatures and rewards explorers who fearlessly climb. The simpler life is, the better, but the more complex the mind, the better. When we have a rich inner life and appreciate the wonders of both the material and non-material worlds, even simple food like cornbread becomes much sweeter. Going from simplicity to complexity, and then from complexity back to simplicity, these two types of simplicity are worlds apart. A glass of water is just a glass of water in the first simplicity, but in the second simplicity, it becomes a rich, colorful world full of wonders. Similarly, a person without inner richness is merely a moving object. But a person with a rich inner self is like a magnificent palace filled with rare treasures. Who would want to interact with a person devoid of thought? Not many. Why? Because they're too monotonous. Monotony leads to boredom, and boredom is uninteresting. From the outside, people may seem similar apart from a few differences in appearance. But once you explore their inner world, the differences are vast. There are endless chapters to read, life experiences to explore, landscapes to see, and flavors to savor. A person with rich inner content is fascinating. You might even want to devour them. When people say, "I love you to death," they might be expressing this feeling. The difference between people lies in their thinking abilities. I divide thinking into 8 types: material thinking, image thinking, associative thinking, illusory thinking, visualized thinking, taiji thinking, formless thinking, and holographic thinking. Each type of thinking is a different realm. The stronger your thinking ability, the closer you are to celestial beings, Buddhas, and gods. But to reach higher realms, the best method is to first enrich your inner self. Without ingredients like oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, star anise, Sichuan pepper, cinnamon, cloves, galangal, and black pepper, it's hard to cook a delicious meal. Dear ones, enrich your inner self. 将人生交给到安排. Surrendering life to the Tao's arrangement. Xiefeng. Even the four greatest souls, life, and life mentors in human history faced helplessness. Jesus Christ was crucified. This was both tragic and an act of helplessness. Buddha, Sakyamuni, was powerless against the future disciples' deviation from his teachings. The Prophet Muhammad was helpless as his successors fell into infighting and mutual slaughter. The sage Laozi voiced his frustration. My words are easy to understand and easy to practice, yet no one in the world can understand or practice them. He departed, riding a green ox through Henggu Pass, seeking his own path to enlightenment. Even Mao Zedong, a great leader with absolute authority and a heart devoted to serving the people, ultimately faced helplessness. Humans are like drops of water in the vast ocean, drifting with the tides. Life is a small program within the grand program of the universe, bound to its laws. In the face of earthquakes and tsunamis, we are helpless. When confronted with death, we are helpless. In parting from our loved ones through life and death, we are helpless. And in the face of the changing times, we too are powerless. All we can do is accept life as it comes, adapt to our circumstances, act in harmony with our nature, and seize opportunities as they arise. 64 major factors shape the trajectory of our life. When these combine and rearrange, they create billions of possibilities. Our limited lives cannot grasp all these mysteries. Even the mighty Monkey King could not escape Buddha's palm. Instead of struggling in vain, it is wiser to follow the Tao. Surrendering our lives to the Tao's arrangement is the wisest choice. Let fortune and misfortune, longevity and premature death be guided by the Tao. Leave hardship and adversity to the Tao. Don't force anything, don't cling to anything, don't envy or covet, don't resent the heavens or blame others. Do not become discouraged. Instead, praise the sun and the grass, drift with the breeze, move with the water, and find joy whenever you can. Treat each day as if it were your last. Does this sound too passive? No, this is the path to ultimate freedom and happiness found in returning to simplicity. The mountains remain the same, the rivers still flow, the green hills endure, and life leaves no trace. Sitting in the shade of a tree, legs crossed, drinking wine and chatting about life's simple matters, we immerse ourselves in the Tao, blending into the fabric of life. We seek neither immortality nor wealth. We mind not narrow paths, nor care for others' judgments. With a clear conscience, we watch the clouds rise and fall, and we find peace in the stillness of our hearts. After experiencing great storms, soaring highs, and plunging lows, we can look upon the humble farmer tending his fields over generations. We can listen to the roosters crowing at midnight and the streams gurgling softly. We can watch the shepherd, dressed in patched clothes, content with his simple meal. We can observe the small-time merchants, rushing to and fro at dawn and dusk. In those moments, an indescribable feeling of joy arises within us. That is truth, that is life, that is beauty, and that is a breathtakingly beautiful scene under the vast sky. By surrendering our lives to the Tao's management and arrangement, everything becomes a source of joy and happiness. Today, I am happy because I have filled my belly. Last night, I slept well, and I am happy. Right now, I am fortunate enough to sip tea while writing on my computer, and I am happy. When my beloved brings me a plate of sunflower seeds, I am thrilled and happy. The brothers, sisters, family, and lovers in our community joyfully discuss scriptures, love, and life, and I am so happy. My first love, who disappeared for more than 20 years, called and affectionately said, "I hate you." And I am happy. Once thin as a stick, now plump like a happy grandmother, I am joyful. The gentle breeze outside, the soft drizzle, the magpies chirping merrily on the opposite balcony, all these fill me with joy and happiness. There is nothing that does not bring happiness, no time that is not filled with joy, and for this, I am deeply grateful. We have always sought the Tao, only to discover that the Tao is not far from us. The Tao does not abandon us. Fish are in the water. People are in the Tao. The Tao is within us, around us, in our daily lives, in the myriad forms of existence, in the ever-changing phenomena. Walking in accordance with the Tao is to gain the Tao. To immerse oneself in the Tao, surrendering to its guidance and arrangement, is to gain the Tao. We no longer strive to control anything, nor do we fantasize about a successful life, desire to live ahead of others, or hope for a better life than others. We no longer exhaust ourselves trying to possess anything. We can simply be a humble blade of grass in the wilderness. As long as there is a drop of dew, I will sing. As long as there is a breeze, I will dance. As long as there is a ray of sunlight, I will shine brightly. And when a few birds fly across the blue sky above my head, I will be filled with joy and bless them. I came from the Tao and will return to the Tao. From simplicity to greatness is easy. From greatness to simplicity is not. The journey, the striving, the climbing turn out to be a descent, a return from complexity to simplicity, from luxury to plainness, from age to innocence, from the many to the infinite. Am I foolish? Perhaps. Am I not foolish? Perhaps. When we feel sad and troubled, when we are anxious and restless, when we are heartbroken by life's difficulties, or when our desires are unfulfilled and we furrow our brows in frustration, why not simply surrender our lives to the Tao's management and arrangement? It will open up a new and magnificent picture of life. 有涯与无涯, the finite and the infinite. 写finite. This is the final article in the chapter of wisdom. Originally, I planned to write 100 articles, but wisdom is boundless while my life is finite. Attempting to pursue the infinite with the finite is a sign of ignorance. Life holds many beautiful destinations awaiting exploration, and I cannot sacrifice my limited time to an endless search. Life is finite, yet desires are boundless. Only through simplicity can we reach our true destination. Knowledge is boundless. I cannot dedicate my entire life to pursuing knowledge, or I would lose the time to savor a leisurely cup of tea. Desires are bottomless. I cannot spend precious moments trying to fill the endless depths of desire, or I would miss the sounds of the wind, rain, and birdsong. Pleasure is infinite. I cannot waste the wonderful years of life lingering in the warmth of cafes and comfort. Otherwise, I would miss the chance to experience the desert sands and the vibrant hues of dawn and dusk. I cannot spend my finite life in the pursuit of becoming the embodiment of wisdom. Instead, I must merge with its light and blend with its dust. Otherwise, I would miss the smiles of infants and the movements of caterpillars. News is never-ending. I cannot occupy myself each day with worldly events, letting the flood of fresh stories obscure my purpose here. Otherwise, I may end up losing sight of where I am headed. Let the wind blow freely, let the clouds drift, let the sun rise and set, and let the tides ebb and flow. This finite human life cannot encompass every change over time, nor can I accompany every stream and river in their eternal song. Over-attachment delays life's journey, and excessive obsession can easily lead us astray. Intense love and hatred can entrap us in self-made cocoons, while simplicity and grace bring enduring warmth and fragrance. Life is finite. We cannot linger endlessly in the same place, intoxicated by dreams. We cannot carry too much. Excess becomes a burden, weighing down our journey. Confucius observed by the river, "Time flows like this. We are but waves in the ocean, clouds in the sky, flowers in the field, fleeting travelers on life's road. Since life is as fleeting as a flash, there is nothing we cannot let go of, be it grievances or mountains of wealth. Nothing in life is monumental or irreplaceable. Only life itself is worth cherishing and safeguarding. Life is finite, but life is infinite. Everything in life should center around life. This is life's core theme. Since we now know there is an afterlife with realms where one can live for 1,000 years, 10,000 years, or even billions of years, we should cast a long line to catch a big fish. While enjoying life, we should discard unnecessary distractions, investing our finite lives into the infinite evolution of life, using the limited to secure an unlimited, beautiful future. The future is ours to create. Our life structure determines the life space we will enter. Humanity in the past was confused about the evolution of life. Even if we mastered the Bible, Buddhist scriptures, the Quran, quantum mechanics, or the Tao Te Ching, even if we grasped the wisdom of sages, saw UFOs, and heard aliens speak, none of this could fully reveal life's principles or its origin and destiny, nor could it directly help us enter the heavenly kingdom to enjoy life's pleasures. Now, Life Genuine has brought clarity. Here, everything is organized and understandable. The mysterious is no longer mysterious, and the complex is no longer complex. Chaos has transformed into order. Through the mist, we see the dawn of life, and within that dawn, life's future unfolds clearly. The path has been found, and the map has been drawn. Humanity's future lies in entering the era of Life Genuine, and life's future is in the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world. We must no longer hesitate or waste our finite time on an endless pursuit of wisdom. Let go of unnecessary burdens, discard what is worn and outdated, and engage in joyful cultivation. Revere the greatest creator, life, and nature. Elevate our understanding, transform our thinking, and perfect our consciousness. Let life attain the structure of a super-celestial being and journey toward our heavenly homeland. Primary and intermediate cultivation ends here. When conditions are ripe, I will guide everyone into advanced cultivation, entering a world more magical and magnificent. In this finite life, we will understand life's future, see the heavenly kingdom clearly, and reach our destination smoothly. The greatest creator loves life. Christ Jesus loves humanity. Buddha Shakyamuni and Prophet Muhammad care deeply for humanity. Throughout history, sages have poured their hearts and souls into paving a glorious path with their precious lives. Let us follow this path, forging ahead, transforming our finite lives into an infinite journey of life, seamlessly connecting the finite with the infinite, and striving for a bright future that belongs to us. 小事与大事. Small matters and big matters. 些phing. In this world, there are no big matters, only small ones. No, that's not quite right. There are no small matters either, only big ones. But truly, there are neither big matters nor small ones. There are simply matters. Big matters are small matters, and small matters are big ones. No, that's still not right. Big matters are simply big matters, and small matters are simply small matters. Or maybe not. Big matters can turn small, and small matters can grow big. 1,000-mile dike collapses because of an ant hole. So, which is greater, the dike or the hole? For want of a horseshoe nail, a kingdom was lost. So, which is larger, the horseshoe or the kingdom? Without people, there is no nation. Which is more significant, the individual or the nation? Without seconds, there are no minutes. Which is more essential, the second or the minute? A tree that fills one's arms starts from a tiny sprout. A tower of 9 stories begins with a heap of earth. Big things stem from small beginnings. Without the solar system, there would be no earth. Without the oceans, there would be no streams. Small things come from the vast. The heavens and the earth are immense, but never let a grain of sand enter your eye. A single grain can darken the entire world. On a 1,000-mile journey, don't let a pebble sneak into your shoe. One small pebble can halt your long trek. In self-cultivation, never let anyone disturb your heart. One ill-suited word, a single misaligned breath, and you're exhausted in both body and mind. If you can't handle small matters well, it will be difficult to accomplish big ones. By observing small details, you can discern the larger picture. All great undertakings begin with small steps. A leaky faucet, a loose button, a flat tire, trash at the door, a phone bill, a computer virus, an unlatched door, an upset child, a faulty fridge, a collapsing roof. All these are small matters. But if left unattended, they turn into big problems. Self-improvement, physical training, character development, building resilience, setting ideals, solidifying faith, accumulating merit, pursuing the Tao to attain immortality. These are all significant matters. Neglecting these important things will leave life full of trivialities. Think big, but act on the small. Set your sights on distant goals, but proceed step by step. People manage small matters. Big matters are accomplished by the heavens. Don't let desire consume you. If a splinter is stuck in your flesh, remove it. If frustration builds up in your heart, release it. Sometimes allowing a small, childlike outburst can relieve stress and might even help prevent illness. People say, small impatience ruins big plans, and enduring hardships build strength. But for those on the path of cultivation, it should be the opposite. Tolerating small matters leads to big disasters. Major things can be endured, but minor ones should not be tolerated. Excessive endurance of small slights can lead one astray. In the eyes of the inexperienced, everything appears significant. To those of great vision, everything appears small. Is building a skyscraper a big matter or a small one? To most people, everything seems crucial, but to the enlightened, everything is minor. Is becoming a minister a big deal or a trivial one? Treating small matters as big ones is short-sighted. Treating big matters as small is far-sighted. Seeing trivial matters as major reveals a narrow mind. Treating ultimate goals as insignificant shows short-sightedness. Life is a small matter. Death is the big one. No, that's not quite right. Death is small. Life is big. But life here is not the same as life there, nor is death here the same as death there. Big matters reside in the heart. Small matters are right before the eyes. Big matters lie in the distance. Small matters are near. What the eyes can see are all small matters. What the eyes cannot see are the big ones. The virtuous handle small matters. The petty handle big ones. No, that's still not quite right. The virtuous attend to small things. The petty pursue big ones. Seeking techniques is minor. Pursuing the Tao is major. Techniques are easy to obtain. The Tao is hard to achieve. Pessimists amplify small matters. Optimists minimize big ones. Those frequently troubled turn every little thing into a big matter. Those often joyful treat trivial matters lightly. Household matters, national affairs, worldly concerns, all are small matters. Don't take them too seriously. Celestial matters, Buddha's teachings, the business of the greatest creator. These are significant. Don't treat them lightly. When there's work to be done, I'm too busy to talk about it. But when there's nothing going on, I find something to discuss. Today, at leisure, let's talk about matters. Every little thing contains wisdom. Understanding all matters leads to divine insight. A day free of concerns feels like being a celestial being. When matters arise, the heart responds. When they pass, the heart clears. So why fuss about whether it's a small matter, a big matter, or something trivial? 丰满人生三要素. The three essential elements of a fulfilling life. 写finge. When one's life attains health, wealth, and freedom, it can be considered fulfilling. In other words, health, wealth, and freedom are the three essential elements that form a complete and abundant life. Health. Health is life's first blessing. Just as great trees cannot grow on barren mountains, and a damaged ship cannot sail far, a frail body and mind cannot endure life's emotional highs and lows. Only with health can one truly experience and appreciate the full richness of life. The three aspects of health are physical health, mental health, and spiritual health. Physical health primarily refers to bodily well-being, akin to a car's systems, transmission, load-bearing, lubrication, cooling, and electrical systems. If any of these malfunctions, the car is prone to breakdowns. Mental health mainly refers to the health of thoughts and awareness, similar to a car's ignition system and its ability to convert heat into power or linear motion into rotation. If ignition fails, the car won't start. Without conversion, it won't move. Spiritual health concerns one's inner vitality, like a car's fuel source. Without a steady supply of the right fuel, the car is merely a lifeless assembly of parts. Physical health is maintained through self-care, mental health through the guidance of wisdom and virtue, and spiritual health through sound beliefs. Wealth. Wealth is the second blessing. Poverty brings forth conflicts and suffering. A life in poverty is filled with sorrow. Only with wealth can dreams and ideals come to fruition. The three aspects of wealth are material wealth, mental wealth, and soulful wealth. Material wealth involves having the basic necessities, freedom from concerns about food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. Mental wealth encompasses knowledge, meaningful relationships, and a place for one's spirit to rest. Soulful wealth is the wealth of ideals, faith, optimism, inner drive, and the expansive freedom for one's soul to soar. Freedom. Freedom is the third blessing. A life without freedom resembles that of a prisoner. Without it, one can never truly know oneself and instead becomes an extension or tool of others. The three aspects of freedom are personal freedom, intellectual freedom, and spiritual freedom. Personal freedom refers to having the right and space to move freely, unrestricted, and uninhibited. Intellectual freedom encompasses the rights to pursue knowledge, form connections, express oneself, and choose one's beliefs freely. Without these, the mind cannot be free. Spiritual freedom means liberation from restrictive doctrines or theories, allowing the imagination to roam boundlessly, the spirit to journey freely, and the soul to be fearless, creating beauty as it desires. Health, wealth, and freedom form the foundation of a complete and fulfilling life, an ideal state. Lacking any of these leaves life incomplete, fragmented, unfulfilled, sorrowful, and filled with regret. Achieving a fulfilling life is both remarkably easy and challenging, depending on one's mindset. Transforming hardship into ease requires a shift in consciousness. Naturally, there are 18 aspects of life beyond our control. Some are the domain of nature, like the inevitability of rain or wind. Others lie within societal systems. If others want soup, or if institutions enforce rules, we often must go with the flow. Yet, some matters are entirely within our control, and favorable conditions will always come our way. Even in adversity, adjusting our mindset and attitude can transform obstacles into opportunities, turning bitterness into sweetness. When life is smooth, think conventionally. When life is challenging, think inversely. Embrace conventional thinking for truths that bring joy and unconventional, or even reverse thinking, for those that cause pain. In this way, we can attain a full life of health, wealth, and freedom. Every pursuit must have its limits. Health, wealth, and freedom also require boundaries, for extremes meet, and excess leads to reversal. If pursued without moderation, they can become a form of ailment. May everyone achieve a life filled with health, wealth, and freedom. 核桃与桃子的启示. A revelation from walnuts and peaches. Xiefeng. Both walnuts and peaches can serve as seeds for the continuation of life. Generally, fruits serve two purposes. One is to provide nourishment for other living beings, and the other is to enable self-reproduction. However, the walnut serves only one purpose. It is either eaten by other beings or used as a seed. Peaches, on the other hand, are different. After nourishing others, they can still be used as seeds to continue life. Where does this difference lie? The core issue is that the walnut hides its flesh within a hard shell. Other beings want to eat its flesh, but because it is so protective, they end up breaking the shell to access it. Once its flesh is eaten, the walnut's life comes to an end. In contrast, the peach exposes its flesh while keeping its seed protected inside, allowing other beings to enjoy its flesh generously, thus preserving its seed and ensuring the continuation of life. The more one gives, the easier it is to protect one's own life. The less one gives, the easier it is to lose life. No one would want to uproot a tree that bears abundant fruit year after year, nor would anyone pull up a peony just to place it in a vase. Cows and sheep that produce plentiful milk are rarely slaughtered. Even within a family or group, the more someone contributes, the more respect and affection they garner. Conversely, someone who, like the walnut, shields themselves with a hard shell and refuses to give will be overlooked and forgotten. If someone not only refuses to contribute but constantly seeks to take, people may eventually grow weary of them and wonder, why are they still here? Everything in nature has a purpose. Nothing is useless. The more one contributes, the more they are valued, and the better their chances of continuing life. The less one gives, the more likely they are to fade away. Life that constantly takes without giving is at risk of extinction. From a human perspective, we can clearly see the state of life in plants and animals. From a divine perspective, we can see the state of human life. For a sheep to understand its fate and life path, it must view itself from the shepherd's perspective. Otherwise, it will live its life in confusion. Similarly, for a person to understand their fate and life path, they must see themselves from the perspective of their Creator. Otherwise, they will inevitably live a life of bewilderment. From a divine perspective, it becomes clear that those who desire only to gain ultimately end up with nothing, while those who desire to give find themselves with an abundance. Those willing to give their lives ultimately gain life, while those who are stingy and unwilling to give risk losing their lives. Everything in nature has an expiration date. Flowers must bloom in time. If they don't, they miss their chance. Food must be consumed promptly. If not, it spoils. Milk must be drawn in time. If it isn't, it stops being produced. Wisdom and talent must be applied at the right time. Otherwise, they become outdated. Both physical and inner beauty must be displayed before it fades. Pearls and gems must be placed in the light to reveal their value. Otherwise, they are no different from ordinary stones. Taiji Celestial displayed his intelligence by creating a website to showcase his talents, thus demonstrating his value. Chinkuan Celestial generously shared his wisdom, radiating the brilliance of life. Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Andy Lau, and others created countless works in a timely manner, which made them shining stars. This is nature's iron law. The more you give, the more you will gain. The less you give, the less you will receive. When you gain, you must give. When you give, you will inevitably receive. From the perspective of life's evolution, those who had little in the human world but gave much have ascended to higher states of life, while those who had plenty and squandered it have descended to lower states. Who says the divine way is not fair? If we look with a short-sighted view, we will see unfairness everywhere. But if we look farther, we will find that everything in the world is fair and reasonable. The broader our vision, the more we see the fairness of the world and the justice of the divine way. In summary, learn from the peach by displaying your best for others to enjoy, thereby protecting and extending your life. Don't be like the walnut, tightly wrapping yourself in a hard shell, only to lose the opportunity to continue your life in the end. 混沌与混沌, Chaos and Holographic Order. Xiefeng, July 18, 2007. Chaos is a state of disorder, while holographic order represents an organized and unified state. Chaos denotes the condition that existed before the formation of the universe, whereas holographic order signifies the state after its formation. In Chinese, chaos, 混沌, implies disorder and randomness, while holographic order, 混沌, signifies an indivisible and complete unity. Chaos lacks heaven, earth, boundaries, limits, and a center. It contains no yin, no yang, and no middle way. Holographic order encompasses Taiji, the unified one, from which the duality of yin and yang, liangyi, emerges, giving rise to the middle way. If one believes that all events are random and coincidental, such as a butterfly's wings flapping in Alaska being unrelated to a storm at the Cape of Good Hope, or that slipping on a banana peel today has no connection to a rotten apple thrown out of a window 10 years ago, this reflects chaotic reasoning. In contrast, recognizing underlying connections signifies holographic reasoning. In other words, if we can connect events, such as being glared at today with the knife marks we carved into our school desks 30 years ago, and recognize the inherent, inevitable links between all occurrences, this way of thinking embodies holographic reasoning. Those who are interested will naturally come across more in-depth explanations of holographic reasoning. It can be confidently stated that 999,999 out of a million people perceive the world as chaotic, while only 1 in a million sees it as holographically ordered. The greatness of figures like Jesus, Buddha, and Laozi lies in their perception of the world as holographically ordered rather than chaotic. In deterministic systems, irregular movements may appear random. Although a system may have a deterministic foundation, its behavior may seem unpredictable, non-repetitive, and uncertain, leading to confusion. Why is it impossible to step into the same river twice? This illustrates the chaotic phenomena of the world. Yet, the world is not chaotic. From an individual perspective, events may seem random, coincidental, irregular, irrational, non-repetitive, and unpredictable. However, from a holistic perspective, everything exists in perfect holographic order, structured and meticulous. Laozi observed that heaven's net is vast and wide, yet nothing escapes it, implying that no event or phenomenon can evade the net of heaven. This shows that the world is holographically ordered rather than chaotic. Our perception of chaos stems from the fact that our thinking has yet to rise to the level of holographic reasoning, or our wisdom has not yet attained that state. The phenomenon known as the butterfly effect demonstrates that a minute change in initial conditions can lead to a dramatic change in future states. For instance, a butterfly flapping its wings in Asia could cause a tornado in America more powerful than a hurricane months later. Or, a speck of dust can affect the trajectory of two other planets. This exemplifies the nature of holographic reasoning. Expressions such as "a straw can break a camel's back," "4 ounces can move 1,000 pounds," "give me a lever and a fulcrum, and I can move the earth," "do not commit even the smallest evil," "encourage even the smallest good," and "a small error can lead to 1,000 miles divergence" illustrate holographic reasoning. Chaotic thinking is narrow, partial, localized, and linear. Holographic thinking is broad, comprehensive, holistic, and nonlinear. The Tao's nature is holographically ordered. Chaos is merely its outer manifestation, while holographic order is its true essence. Confronted with the uncertainty principle in quantum mechanics, Einstein famously asserted, "God does not play dice." Many believe Einstein was mistaken, but I assert he was correct, as his understanding reflects holographic reasoning. Those who claim he was wrong view it through the lens of chaotic reasoning. Ancient Chinese wisdom warns, "Whispers in a dark room are as loud as thunder." The secretive murmurs of two or more people can reverberate through the heavens like thunder in a summer storm. Why? Because the universe is holographically ordered. Knowing that the world is holographically ordered, unified, and indivisible, we must speak and act with caution. Every word we utter, every action we take, every thought we harbor, and every comment we post online will directly impact our life's future. Nothing escapes this influence. In the end, we must face the consequences of our actions. If we cannot face these bitter fruits within a year, they will extend to 10 years. If not in 10, then 100, 1,000, or even 10,000 years. If we fail to awaken and continue to commit misdeeds, we may find ourselves struggling in the sea of suffering and hell for countless lifetimes. From a holographic thinking perspective, countless people are rushing headlong toward hell, unstoppable. 以自己丰富内涵立足于社会. Establishing oneself in society through rich inner content. Xiefeng, September 2, 2009. What enables a person to stand firm in society? Grass, flowers, butterflies, bees, and birds show us that only through their own green leaves, vibrant fragrance, light wings, diligence, and hard work can they find survival and freedom. When one's foundation is established, the Tao emerges. When the heart is rich, one finds peace. There are 3 great treasures in life: soul wealth, spiritual wealth, and material wealth. Only by possessing ample amounts of all 3 can a person stand tall, live with dignity, and truly establish themselves in society. If a person lacks these 3 treasures, if they are spiritually barren, mentally impoverished, and materially deprived, then they cannot stand firm. Instead, they become destined to live as slaves, sycophants, or simply scrape by to survive. Without rich inner content, an individual can only rely on flattery, ingratiation, compliments, hollow words, superficial compliance, opportunism, scheming, dependence on others, or on selling their time, energy, spirit, and conscience to survive. Those who seek survival by attaching themselves to a country, religion, political party, organization, powerful person, money, a man, a woman, an ideology, or a doctrine do so because they are spiritually, mentally, and materially impoverished and lack rich inner content. In marriage, both partners often depend on each other because their own inner content is insufficient. They rely on each other for survival. They place their happiness in the hands of another, expecting them to guarantee lifelong happiness. for they lack the inner richness needed to stand independently in society. Those who lack inner content and depend on external factors for happiness cannot stand firm. Their lives will inevitably be filled with fear, struggle, and despair, bound to end in tragedy. To become a dignified, free individual standing firm in society, the foremost task is to enrich one's inner content, not to seek solace in external illusions. How can one enrich their inner content? This enrichment comes from pursuing soul wealth, spiritual wealth, and material wealth, starting with soul wealth and spiritual wealth. Material wealth alone is not true wealth. Only a rich heart is truly wealthy. 8 pathways can enrich one's inner content. Seek the greatest creator. Know the greatest creator. Have faith in the greatest creator. Revere the greatest creator. Trust the greatest creator. And walk in the way of the greatest creator. Listen to the teachings of Christ Jesus, Buddha Shakyamuni, Celestial Laozi, Prophet Muhammad, and sages throughout history. Read beautiful essays and poetry and listen to graceful melodies and songs. Develop your strengths. Master a skill or technique for survival. Be dedicated and responsible, and strive for excellence. Be diligent. In both great and small matters, let your inner truth, goodness, beauty, love, faith, and sincerity shine through in your words and actions. Seize every opportunity to express your true self. Remain ever humble. Embody your value and strive to be of service to society and others without dwelling on personal gain or loss. In the pursuit of material wealth, the highest state is to own nothing yet possess everything. By following these principles, one's inner content will grow increasingly rich, unshaken by external influences, constraints, or limitations. Life will become increasingly joyful, free, and fulfilling, allowing one to establish themselves in society, feel the joy of life, and envision a beautiful future. 比较之心乃惹心. The heart of comparison is the heart of malice. Xiefeng, September 14, 2009. Jealousy is a reflection of the ugliness within the human heart. The root of jealousy lies in comparison. It's through comparing ourselves to others that jealousy takes root and grows. In the 82nd value of 800 values for new era human beings, I outlined 108 aspects of evil and 108 of good within human nature. Among these, comparing oneself to others is classified as a form of evil. When we observe other life forms created by the greatest creator, we see that they do not engage in comparison. Each is content in its own place and role. The humble achnatharum never compares itself to the sensitive mimosa. The orchid doesn't compete with the peony. Bamboo doesn't measure itself against cedar. Grapes do not envy peaches. Sparrows don't compare themselves with wild geese. Antelopes don't measure themselves against zebras. Field mice don't envy elephants. Bees do not vie with butterflies. Precisely because they do not compare. The world is rich, diverse, and beautiful. Only humans indulge in comparison. And what is the outcome? When we compare ourselves to others, we either feel inferior or superior, leading to shame, arrogance, suppression of others, or insincerity. Comparison breeds conflict, pain, jealousy, envy, regret, and even resentment. Why should we compare ourselves to others? You have your grand symphony, and I have my humble serenade. You travel the broad road, and I take my narrow bridge. You shine with brilliance, while I possess my own charm. You exude elegance, and I embody grace. You may have 5-star hotels, while I have my cozy cottage. You have your degrees, fame, status, power, wealth, and beauty. I cherish simplicity, tranquility, peace, health, minimalism, and ordinariness. You thrive in splendor, while I find joy in nature's serenity. Why should I compare myself to anyone? Once the heart of comparison arises, inner peace slips away, giving rise to trouble from nothing and disasters within. With the heart of comparison, one becomes obsessed with wealth and status, anguished over poverty, endlessly yearning and weighed down by perceived injustices, making peace and happiness difficult to attain. When the heart of comparison takes hold, it leads to self-criticism, self-destruction, and inner turmoil. It forces those who care for us into needless struggles and conflicts, sometimes even to desperate measures. Comparison brings about restless days and sleepless nights, pushing us to pursue superfluous things and waste precious years on open and hidden battles, consumed by struggles for superiority. The heart of comparison reveals a lack of confidence and inner richness, a misunderstanding of universal principles, a sign of a chaotic mind, and ignorance of life's value and purpose. The heart of comparison creates its own troubles, suffering, difficulties, and ultimately, self-burial. It breeds friction and conflict, unhappiness and misfortune, confrontation and struggle, pain and hardship. In this world, there will always be those who surpass us, whether in looks, wealth, success, status, or talent. Is it possible to endlessly compare ourselves? Life is too short to keep comparing. Therefore, we must not compare ourselves to others. We should not force a duck to perch in a tree, nor push ourselves to face the tiger on the mountain. We must not endanger those who care for us by pursuing unhealthy desires, nor bring upon ourselves sleepless nights. Heaven ordains our birth and growth. We should take things as they come. If I am grass, I will grow a few green leaves. If I am a flower, I will bloom with a few buds. If I am a willow, I will sway gently. If I am an apricot, I will bear some fruit. Why should I create troubles for myself by comparing? Let the foolish and ignorant continue to compare. For us, a day of peace is a day of divinity, and following the path of fate brings us closer to a celestial life. 看看自己属不属于芸芸众生一言. Examining whether you belong to the masses. Xiefeng, April 27, 2011. The Buddha taught us to save all sentient beings. So, who among humans, without discussing other forms of life, qualifies as part of this collective group? Answer: those who do not know where they came from or where they are going. Those who do not understand the cycle of life and the principles of reincarnation. Those who are unaware of the existence of the non-material world. Those who cannot clearly identify their parents, children, or other important people in their lives. Those who are spiritually and mentally impoverished. Those who harbor greed, anger, ignorance, resentment, hatred, jealousy, strife, or doubt. Those who lack gratitude and act selfishly. Those who do not have a place for the ancestral Buddha, that is, the greatest creator, in their hearts. If you possess any of these 8 characteristics, you belong to the masses. Being part of the masses means living in a state of confusion and ambiguity, lacking clear understanding and direction in life. Is there anything wrong with belonging to the masses? Not necessarily. Living without clarity has its own merits. You can laugh when it's time to laugh, cry when it's time to cry, rush through life in a flurry, endure suffering, or enjoy comfort. In the end, when your time comes, you might simply think, all's well. Living simply and practically, like one among a herd, without understanding life's purpose, indifferent to past lives or future ones, can indeed be pleasant enough. However, the one downside of belonging to the masses is the absence of a true future. If you doubt this, ask yourself, where is my future? Future, as the word implies, is the path ahead, not only in terms of tomorrow, next year, and the rest of your earthly life, but also the road that lies beyond. Where does your path lead? To truly understand your future, you must awaken. Awakening means perceiving life's phenomena through your senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and intuition, and grasping their true nature. Once you do, you have awakened. In that awakening, you are no longer among the masses. The challenge is that awakening on your own is difficult. It requires understanding a vast system of knowledge, including the origins of things, time, space, life, consciousness, human existence, emotions, love, and desires. Life is too short, and most of it is spent simply managing the basics: food, clothing, shelter, and the cycle of life and death, which leaves little time or energy for awakening. So, what can be done? It's simple. Listen to the teachings of Jesus Christ, the Buddha Shakyamuni, the sage Laozi, and the Prophet Muhammad. As long as you can integrate the teachings of the gods, the Buddhas, the celestial beings, and the saints, you will certainly awaken. If you lack the time and energy to fully understand these profound teachings, there's an even simpler way. Enter Life Genuine and follow the path laid out by its guide, though this may sound self-serving. Whether the guide of Life Genuine is genuine is something you can discover through your own experience. If you find it sour, bitter, or astringent, it shows the guide is a fraud. Feel free to kick him away. But if you find it spicy, sweet, or fragrant, it suggests the guide is enlightened. Then follow closely and don't let go. 对父母的小孝、忠孝和大孝之别. The differences between minor, moderate, and great filial piety. Xiefeng, December 13, 2011. Being filial to one's parents is an inherent and fundamental duty for all children. However, there are distinctions between minor, moderate, great, and even super levels of filial piety. Minor filial piety. Attending to parents constantly, serving them meals, washing their feet, and carrying out their wishes with reverent care and respect whenever they express a need. Moderate filial piety. Managing one's own issues and life affairs in a way that prevents parents from worrying about you. Great filial piety. Achieving success in one's career and personal endeavors, bringing pride and joy to one's parents through these accomplishments. Super filial piety. Accumulating merits and then transferring part of these merits to one's parents, enabling them to be freed from the suffering of reincarnation and to experience the eternal joys of life and existence. 进入空灵状态的几个小技巧. The subtle techniques for achieving a state of emptiness. Xiefeng, August 11, 2013. Without reaching a state of emptiness in body, mind, and spirit, it's impossible to elevate one's vibrational frequency. A low vibrational frequency prevents the unity of humans and the divine, the transformation into celestial beings, and the ascension to higher realms of life. So, how can one achieve this state of emptiness? Let go of all attachments. Once emotional attachment arises, negative feelings like jealousy, resentment, anger, and frustration become inevitable. Possessing wealth, power, status, fame, or property leads to anxiety, worry, and fear. When attached to a strong sense of self, conflicts, arguments, debates, and energy struggles are unavoidable. Let go of all attachments, and the body, mind, and spirit can reach a state of emptiness. Be content and go with the flow. Trust that the greatest creator will care for you. Believe that the Tao arranges everything appropriately, and understand that the law of cause and effect operates without fail. Regardless of your current situation, remain calm and at peace. Avoid seeking escape or expecting better conditions. Refrain from complaints and resistance. Face the present with composure and acceptance. Accept and release relationships as they come and go, without attachment. The people and events that enter your life are not coincidental, but part of the program of causality. Never regret past actions or cling to past events. Whether rain or shine, let everything come and go naturally. Embrace opportunities as they arise and release them when they pass. Avoid attachment to pursuits or goals, allowing the body, mind, and spirit to remain in a state of emptiness. Maintain harmony with the whole. Align yourself with the collective state. When others are resting, rest as well. When others rise, rise too. If others are engaging in activities, do not watch passively. If everyone bears themselves, you should bear yourself as well. Don't put on airs of superiority. When others admire flowers, admire them too. Avoid isolating yourself by admiring only your own uniqueness. When others quiet down, quiet yourself as well. Do not stand out needlessly, like a crane among chickens. Calculate less, engage and play more. Avoid letting your mind become a whirlwind of calculations, suspicions, or assumptions about others' motives. Do not dwell on what others may intend, as the truth may be far from what you imagine. When free, engage and play. Write a simple poem, listen to music, dance, play an instrument, stroll through nature, or play games. This relaxation clears distractions and banishes negative thoughts, allowing body, mind, and spirit to find peace. Labor to purify the spirit. Engage in meaningful work every day. Give and contribute consistently, avoiding idle pleasures. Strive not to be seen as lazy or unhelpful by those around you. and work to owe nothing to anyone. Living this way brings a sense of fulfillment and a clear conscience, lighting the body, mind, and spirit and helping you move naturally toward emptiness. Let go of desires and expectations. Avoid delusions and fantasies. Without desires, one gains strength. Without expectations, one finds peace. Desires and ambitions distort one's true nature, suppress one's spiritual essence, foster a sense of inferiority, and lead to inauthenticity, making one overly cautious and worried. Let everything flow with the Tao, allowing events to happen naturally. Wait for fruits to ripen without attempting to pick them prematurely. Avoid taking what isn't rightfully yours, breaking the law, exploiting others' domains, gambling, or risking excessively. Don't expect immediate success or overnight fulfillment. Whether the divine or ghosts come, the body, mind, and spirit will naturally stay at ease. Avoid competing for energy. Conflicts and struggles all stem from competing for energy. Discontent among people arises from the drive to extract energy from each other. Step back from these contests, and you'll find a world of serene mountains, moonlit skies, and tranquil waters. Avoid competing for physical or spiritual energy. Disputes muddy the mind and spirit. Instead, let yourself commune alone with the spirit of heaven and earth, drawing upon the essence of the sun, moon, and nature. In this way, the body, mind, and spirit enter a state of emptiness. The state of emptiness is profoundly beautiful, a state of effortless action where nothing is left undone. In advancing, one might reach for the moon in the sky. In retreating, one vanishes without a trace. Like Lizi's teacher, Huzi, who could transform endlessly, one can respond instantly, becoming a Buddha with Buddhas, a celestial with celestials. You can be anything or nothing, taking any shape or state, round or square, long or short, hard or soft, hidden or revealed, occupying a state of complete resonance with all frequencies. May everyone experience the beauty of emptiness soon. 8 Paths to Elevate the Frequency of Life. Xiefeng, August 19, 2024. Each form of life, down to every individual, has a unique frequency. The core of life is the soul, which is consciousness, so life frequency essentially reflects the frequency of consciousness. Understanding this can be complex, but Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness energy levels offers a simplified guide. In the universe, the highest energy level belongs to the greatest creator, with a frequency level in the billions. Next come the gods, with average levels in the tens of thousands, followed by angels, celestials, and Buddhas with levels in the thousands. Humans vibrate at levels in the hundreds, animals in the tens, and plants in single digits. Note, energy level here specifically refers to consciousness frequency, not the frequency of non-life material. For clarity, the minimum energy level for entry into the lowest heavenly state is 500. This means a life frequency of 500 Hz or above is required to enter heaven. Entry into mid-level heaven requires 600 Hz and above, while higher levels of heaven require frequencies of 1000 Hz and beyond. To meet the threshold of primary heaven, here are 8 ways to elevate your vibration. A mind free of obstructions. A mind unburdened by obstacles experiences a significant rise in frequency. A mind free of resentment. Resentment hinders ascension. A mind free of pride and fear. Free yourself from arrogance and any fears. Overcoming life's gravitational pull. Free yourself from debts and worldly attachments. Daily joy and cheer. Cultivate joy and a light heart every day. Optimism, romance, and playfulness. Approach life with a spirit of lightheartedness. Formlessness and non-action. Adapt to circumstances with ease, flow with spontaneity, and act naturally in response to life. Keeping a heart of reverence, follow your heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. Attaining these qualities will elevate your frequency to 500 or above, marking you as a heavenly life. Achieving a state of owning nothing yet possessing everything allows life frequency to soar into the thousands, signifying entry into the higher realms of heaven. The foundation for elevating life frequency begins with cultivating the inner garden of your soul, followed by upgrading your thinking, from material to image-based, associative, illusory, visualized, Tai Chi, non-form, and ultimately, holographic thinking. Ultimately, the highest state of life is attained through unselfishness, selflessness, and non-attachment. The frequency of each person's life is perceptible. Through brief interaction, one can sense a person's vibrational frequency and, in some cases, identify their developmental path, whether toward heaven or hell, continued human reincarnation, or descent into the animal realm. Dr. Hawkins' energy scale can serve as a helpful reference for these insights. Forget your goal, and you'll sink into the mire. Xiefeng, September 29, 2024. A life without a goal is one weighed down by trivial worries, suffering, conflicts, setbacks, anxiety, and fears that will haunt you all your life. For those who have a life goal yet forget it on the way, distracted by fame, personal gain, desires, or overwhelmed by challenges, they quickly fall into a mire of jealousy, comparisons, anger, resentment, quarrels, and rivalry. Harmony with others becomes almost impossible, and relationships turn turbulent, filled with opposition, conflict, and overwhelming bitterness. The grander the goal, the lighter life feels. The more short-sighted the goal, the more burdensome life will be. If you find yourself feeling frustrated, disheartened, or agitated by others' laziness, greed, selfishness, aggression, or indifference, it's likely because you either have no life goal or you've forgotten it. To illustrate, let's consider the life of a Chanyuan celestial. A Chanyuan celestial has two core goals. 1. To experience joy, freedom, happiness, and bliss. And 2. To extend their life into the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, or Celestial Island's continent of Elysium. With a clear goal, life becomes straightforward, lighter, and easier. You avoid deep connections with those whose paths contradict your goals, ignore distractions, and avoid paths that diverge from your purpose. You won't follow such a path, no matter how appealing, even if it's lined with wealth, fame, beauty, or promises of prestige and honor. But what if those close to you, parents, children, a spouse, siblings, friends, or coworkers, bring you distress? First, don't try to change others. Everyone has their own life path. Trying to change someone else is often a thankless task. Let those bound for heaven go to heaven, and those destined for hell go to hell. Allow a carrot to remain a carrot and a cabbage to remain a cabbage. Trying to turn one into the other is not their problem, but yours. As a popular saying goes, those who can change themselves are wise. Those who try to change others are foolish. Don't turn yourself into a fool. Second, if you see someone heading down the wrong path, don't let it burden you. Let them do as they will. Focus instead on living responsibly and within your means. When you prepare food, share it with them gladly. If they do not share with you, let it go calmly, without anger or resentment. If you're busy while they are idle, don't feel jealous or frustrated. You focus on your tasks and they on theirs. Leave the ultimate reckoning to the universe. It will eventually settle all accounts. Finally, never lose sight of your goal. Think of yourself as a celestial being, maintaining your virtues even if those around you, family, friends, and colleagues, are mere mortals. Continue your journey toward the celestial world, undisturbed by the behavior and opinions of others. Contribute selflessly, unconcerned with gain or loss. One day, if you reach the celestial world and look back, you'll clearly see the circumstances of those who once brought you distress. Ultimately, those who live the most freely, confidently, and brightly are those without ego, selfishness, or attachment. All who experience trouble, pain, anxiety, or fear lack a life goal and are bound by strong egotism, selfishness, and self-centeredness. Let the dead be, let the living live. Just keep climbing toward your goal. Future living environments are created by the contents of one's consciousness. Xiefeng, October 7, 2024. This is one of the mysteries of life. Have you ever thought about what kind of environment you might live in the future? In my writings, I've said that the future is shaped by imagination, not simply by hard work and effort. I have given numerous examples to prove the reliability and truth of this concept. Reflecting on my own experiences as a child, I often gazed at the sunset, daydreaming. Watching the sun set in the west, I always felt that the place where the sun touched the horizon was incredibly beautiful. The West was a place that deeply captivated my heart and soul. 30 years later, I found myself far from home, living in the direction of the setting sun, and for 16 years, I enjoyed an exceptionally comfortable and delightful life. It was a time of joy, freedom, and happiness. I lived in a large villa, swam year-round in my private pool, and had two large dogs running playfully in the front and backyards. I employed two housekeepers, one to tend the garden and outdoor areas, and the other to handle laundry, dishwashing, and indoor cleaning. All year round, the garden was lush, full of greenery, the scent of flowers, and the sounds of birds singing. Today, my life is even more peaceful. Backed by a vast, primeval forest and facing the broad expanse of Anaheim Lake, I live in a 3-story house. Whether standing on the nearly 30-square-meter balcony, gazing across the lake at the snowy mountain peaks, or sitting by the shore admiring the gentle ripples on the water, watching fish swim in the shallows, or wild ducks playing, it all fills me with a deep sense of joy and tranquility. In fact, all of this had been imagined within my consciousness long before it became a reality. Now, the question is, can anyone fulfill their wishes simply by imagining them? Yes, absolutely. The key question is, what exactly are you envisioning? Are you imagining accumulating more wealth? Becoming a high-ranking official? Bringing honor to your family? Living above others? Becoming famous, admired by all, and envied? Or perhaps you imagine overpowering others, avenging wrongs, or leaping across social classes. Do you possess the patience and peace of mind to envision an ideal future? It's hard, isn't it? Maybe you find it challenging imagining a beautiful future, even if you try. Why is that? There are two core reasons. First, it may not exist within your consciousness, meaning there's a lack of blessings or divine destiny. In other words, there was no accumulation of good karma in your past lives. Second, there hasn't been enough giving and dedication. The law of balancing positive and negative energies prevents such imagination. To imagine a beautiful future for yourself, several qualities are essential: purity, simplicity, kindness, and a soul garden free of weeds and harmful thoughts, filled only with fragrant, blossoming flowers. You must also have treasures stored in heaven, as only a beautiful life deserves to enjoy a beautiful environment. Every environment is matched to one's consciousness. If beauty is absent in your consciousness, then there will be little beauty in your environment. Look at the world around you. The bait on a mousetrap lures the mouse, while bait on a fishing hook entices the fish. Aren't wealth, power, fame, and status much like the bait on a trap or hook? Imagine tomorrow is your last day on life's journey. What will you be able to take with you? Not a single worldly possession will go with you. Only the contents of your consciousness, the things you consider most precious, will accompany you. If what you treasure lies in heaven, then you will go to heaven. If your treasures lie in this world, then you will inevitably return here. In essence, your future environment is composed of the elements within your consciousness. Imagination shapes the future, but if there is no wisdom and beauty within, then no amount of imagination can envision heavenly scenes. It will only be able to conjure images of the human world, or even scenes from the animal or plant worlds. Journey of Transcending Time and Space. Xiefeng. July 26, 2013. Warning. This article is only suitable for those who have lived in the Life-Genuine second home, a Life-Genuine created communist community, for more than 2 years. It is intended for those who have completely severed ties with the secular world, passed through the labor test, repaid all debts accumulated from previous lifetimes, and accrued enough merits. Additionally, it is only for those who have not fallen into emotional entanglements with others in the community. For the rest of the Life-Genuine members, it is crucial to follow a step-by-step process. The focus of their practice should be on cutting off worldly attachments, repaying debts, accumulating merits, and perfecting their soul garden, not on pursuing the journey of transcending time and space. Anyone else reading this article should treat it as mere information and should absolutely not believe in its authenticity. I have fabricated everything here, so do not take it seriously. Especially, do not attempt to follow its content in your practice, as doing so will inevitably lead to an imbalance in your life, causing you to lose focus and possibly fall into dangerous delusions. Preface: the cold gives way to heat, seasons alternate, flowers bloom and wither, and the world transforms through the ages. Birth, aging, sickness, and death follow. Things grow, decline, form, and dissolve. Prosperity and decay follow one another in an endless cycle, as the universe plays out its eternal symphony of reincarnation. Everything rises and falls in time and space, struggling, sighing, and ultimately succumbing to the passage of time. Like the falling flower, all turns to emptiness in the end. Time drives us to age, and the years bury our youth. Like flowers swept away by flowing water, spring departs, leaving nothing but melancholy and endless longing. The path to heaven is distant, separated by countless mountains. A fleeting moment of beauty disappears in an instant, leaving us lamenting at the edge of the world. But then, as the road twists and turns, we find light amid the shadows. When time ceases and space disappears, the mind follows consciousness, and reality transforms according to the mind. In the blink of an eye, 100,000 light-years pass. Mountains and obstacles shrink to the size of sand grains. The infinite beauty of the world stretches out beyond description, filled with boundless wonders and emptiness, spirit, and grace. We live in harmony with heaven and earth, sharing the same longevity as the sun and moon, shining together, singing with orioles and dancing with swallows, soaring alongside swans and cranes, basking in endless bliss and joy. 1 year in the human world, 1 day for me. Time is different in every place and space. The time on the moon is not the same as on Earth, just as the time for those living on the first floor differs from those living on the 20th floor. The saying 1 day in heaven equals 1 year on Earth holds truth. Time varies depending on how people or things operate. 24 hours a day is only a conventional measure. For some, the length of a day may be more or less than 24 hours. Walking eastward, the length of each day decreases. Walking westward, it increases. The faster you walk eastward, the shorter the day, and the faster you walk westward, the longer the day. If you walk eastward at a speed of 465 meters per second, your day would be 12 hours long. If you walk westward at half the speed of Earth's rotation, 233 meters per second, your day would be 48 hours. If you were to run westward at 465 meters per second, the concept of a day would no longer exist. If you run eastward at 99/365 the speed of Earth's rotation, 465 meters per second, a year of running becomes a single day. Running westward at the same speed makes a year stretch into 36,135 days. If you run at a speed of 300,000 kilometers per second, regardless of whether you go east or west, time disappears entirely. The conclusion is that time is related to the speed at which matter moves. Time is not fixed. It can lengthen, shorten, or even become infinite or disappear. What this means for humans is that if we live according to conventional routines on Earth, we are inevitably doomed to die. However, if we break free from conventional living, we can transcend the constraints of space and time. The farther from the center, the greater the space. The Earth's equator is the longest, while the poles are the shortest. People living at the equator need to travel 40,000 kilometers to circle the Earth, while those at the poles only need to spin around their own axis, covering less than 1 meter. However, whether you circle 40,000 kilometers or just 1 meter, the time taken is the same. If you draw a large circle with many people standing inside it, and the circle rotates, you will find that in the same time period, those closer to the center travel a shorter distance, while those farther from the center travel a longer distance. This means that within the same time, the closer you are to the center, the smaller the space and the easier life becomes. The farther you are from the center, the larger the space, and the more exhausting it becomes. How to achieve immortality? Scientific exploration has discovered that human cells divide 50 times in a lifetime, with each division cycle lasting 2.4 years. This results in a natural lifespan of 120 years, just like how a day on Earth is 24 hours. However, if the cell division cycle could be extended, human life could also be extended indefinitely. But how can we extend this cycle? Since running eastward shortens time and running westward lengthens it, the 24-hour day can be altered. If we can change the activity time of cells, the division cycle will no longer be 2.4 years, but could become 1 year, 10 years, or even an indefinite period. Once we break the cell's activity pattern, the length of human life will change and achieving immortality will be possible. Different environments, different life cycles. I once worked in the Chilean mountains at an altitude of nearly 4,000 meters for a year and noticed an interesting phenomenon. The higher the altitude, the shorter the growth cycle of the same type of plants. There is no doubt that the environment in which life exists can alter its lifespan. The harsher the living environment, the longer time seems to stretch, and life feels like enduring days as if they were years. Wu Zishu's hair turned white overnight when he passed through the Zhao Pass in a state of anxiety. Conversely, the more favorable the living environment, the shorter time seems to become, like the saying, a day in heaven, a year on earth. Lifespan is related to mindset. When a person is extremely angry, their metabolism accelerates, and they age rapidly. The more frequently one gets angry, the faster they age. Similarly, people who are selfish, jealous, resentful, anxious, fearful, worried, negative, and pessimistic age quickly. In contrast, those who are calm, peaceful, joyful, happy, positive, and optimistic age more slowly. Celestial beings and Buddhas live long lives, while humans live short lives because their mindsets are entirely different. Turning certainties into variables. Everything in the universe follows a fixed pattern. Pregnancy lasts 10 months, and birth occurs in a single day. The seasonal cycle, spring, rain, awakening of insects, and the vernal equinox, unfolds in its time. From infancy, childhood, adolescence, youth, to old age, the seasons of life arrive as expected. A year has 365 days, a day has 24 hours. Flowers bloom and wither, tides rise and fall. These are governed by set movement patterns, or what we call time. When these patterns change, time changes, and when time changes, certainties become variables. The clock that controls cell division is the telomere. With each division, the telomere shortens. When it can no longer shorten, the cell stops dividing and life in that cell ceases. Our task is to prevent telomeres from shortening further. If all cells behave like cancer cells, human life could last as long as the sun and moon, allowing us to transcend time and space in our current form. Nothing is impossible, only things that the mind has yet to comprehend. Changing the movement pattern alters certainties, changes fate, and transcends time and space. Inputting information to change movement. The hypothalamus regulates the human aging process. When the pituitary gland atrophies, the body ages rapidly. If we can rejuvenate the aging pituitary gland, we can restore the functions of the nervous, endocrine, and metabolic systems, delay joint and organ aging, and ultimately realize the dream of reversing aging and living forever. The atrophy of the pituitary gland is related to the information it receives. By changing the input, we can revitalize the gland. When a person encounters a joyful event, their spirit brightens. A joyful event is just a piece of information. A person in despair who receives this information can instantly dispel suicidal thoughts and recover their spirit, even returning from the brink of death. Conversely, continuous bad news can crush a person's will and spirit, leaving them lifeless. Food, medicine, and words are all forms of information. A conversation with a sage is worth 10 years of study. One conversation can be worth 10 years of study. This is a way of transcending time and space. Many people spend years chasing dreams and exploring, only to have everything clarified in a few words from someone wiser. The sea of bitterness has no bounds. Turn your head to see the shore, and searching for him thousands of times, I suddenly find him in the dim light. This leap beyond time and space shows that while many people toil their whole lives pursuing ideals and die with regrets, others achieve success effortlessly. The difference lies in their relationship with time and space. You take 10 years to accomplish something, while I complete the same task in 1 year. Haven't I transcended 9 years of time and space? If someone meets an enlightened master, a celestial in human form, and listens to their teachings, They can transcend human limitations and enter celestial realms, transcending time and space. Restructuring. When structure changes, the essence of life changes. The processes of growth and decay shift, and life can be revitalized, transforming decay into magic. Restructuring means rearranging atoms. Bodily changes are essentially chemical reactions. Oxygen combines with copper to form copper oxide. Oxygen combines with iron to form iron oxide. People who live with pigs may become like pigs. Those who live with celestials may become like human celestials. The elements entering the body determine the chemical changes that occur. Poison kills, but an elixir grants immortality. Grafting pear branches onto an apple tree produces apple pears. Living in the same environment with the same people, culture, and diet, or remaining in the same mindset, prevents restructuring. Life requires constant change. A person thrives by moving. A tree dies by being transplanted. As long as there is change, there is life. Ask the canal how it stays so clear, because it is fed by a source of living water. Injecting living water into a pond keeps it clear and vibrant. Otherwise, it stagnates. Constant change is, in fact, a way to transcend time and space. Inertia is human nature, resisting change and clinging to the familiar. To restructure, we must overcome inertia. Enhancing vibrational frequency. The energy released by an atomic bomb is enough to destroy an entire city. If 100 kilograms of matter were completely converted into energy, it could turn the Earth into a sea of fire. This energy comes from the vibration frequency of photons within atoms. The higher the vibration frequency, the greater the energy. People who only act when pushed and stay motionless otherwise have little energy. From the holographic perspective, a butterfly flapping its wings in Alaska can cause a storm at the Cape of Good Hope. This is vibration at work. The higher the frequency, the greater the impact. To raise our vibration frequency, we must sharpen our thinking. People who are too slow and dull find it hard to raise their frequency. Some people, when taught one thing, learn only that. Others, when taught one thing, think critically and learn several things. Some even deduce entire systems. This illustrates different vibrational frequencies. The purpose of raising the vibration frequency is not to increase energy, but to achieve a seamless and rapid transcendence of time and space. From my experiences living in the second home, I have found that some brothers and sisters have a high vibration frequency, embodying the saying, hearts resonate with each other. They can adapt and live gracefully, freely, and effortlessly in the home in a very short time. Holographic management is quickly realized among these individuals. Conversely, some people have a vibration frequency that is too low. Despite my repeated explanations of many concepts, they still cannot grasp them. They struggle with very simple things, such as don't interfere with others' hearts or manage others' affairs, strive for excellence in everything, and if others do not seek my help, I will not assist them. Such simple principles, such simple tasks, yet they still cannot accomplish them. As a result, guiding them is exhausting, making it impossible to transcend time and space. The future is determined by the present. What can transcend time and space and move freely within infinity? The answer is thought. Thought is the spark of consciousness. The universe is one, and it operates holographically, meaning a single thought can penetrate the entire universe. Everything in the present is shaped by past thoughts, and the future is shaped by our current thoughts. Thoughts include visualization, which I've emphasized in the chapter on visualized thinking. Therefore, everyone's current thoughts and intentions play a crucial role in shaping the future. Your thoughts must be beautiful to create a beautiful future. By continually releasing beautiful intentions, you can transcend time and space to create a continuous series of wonderful futures for yourself, effectively crafting an endless drama for your life. It is essential to guard against negative thoughts slipping out of your consciousness. Once a harmful thought escapes, trouble will follow. Transcending time and space to seize the future. Buddha said, "The past mind cannot be grasped, the present mind cannot be grasped, and the future mind cannot be grasped." This is wrong. Many believe the past is gone and the future is out of reach, so we can only seize the present. This is a misunderstanding. Once you transcend time and space, everything is within your control. The Tao is a synthesis of laws, principles, and operational processes. The universe is orderly because of the Tao. Without the Tao, there is no order. If one does not recognize the Tao, life and worldly affairs seem impermanent and chaotic. However, once one understands the Tao, everything appears orderly and harmonious. By considering the characteristics of a peach tree, if you plant a peach sapling in suitable soil, you can predict the size of the tree in 3 to 4 years. You can see the peaches that will grow on the tree, and in 3 to 4 years, you will be able to eat the peaches. This is how one grasps the future. The present can't be grasped. It can only be experienced. Only the future can be seized. If you want to determine how you will live years, decades, centuries, or even millions of years from now, you must seize it now. Don't wait until the future to act. It will be too late. The past is an illusion, the present is fixed, but the future is real. Whether you can see it depends on whether your Dharma eye or Buddha eye is open. Once you understand this, you can grasp the future now and see it as clearly as if it were happening before you. Unsurpassable time and space. While time and space can be transcended, not all aspects of them can be. If you exceed the speed of light, you may enter the future or return to the past. Sometimes, in dreams, we can visit the future or revisit the past. But can someone travel back in time before they were born and kill their mother, thereby preventing their own birth? Or can you travel back to when your mother was 1 year old and kill her, thus stopping your arrival in this world? This creates a paradox. If someone could transcend time and space and go back to kill the girl destined to be their mother, then they would not be born on Earth. Since they have already killed the girl, they themselves would not exist. But then, who traveled back in time to kill their mother? The conclusion is that this paradox does not exist. Some aspects of time and space cannot be transcended. One cannot go back in time and kill their yet-to-be-born mother. Time and space are not illusions. Time is merely a concept, a symbol to describe the state of an object's movement. However, once we define the movement of matter as time, it is born. It is no longer an illusion. Space describes the relative distance between matter and matter, or between non-material and non-material entities. Since the universe is made of matter and non-material elements, space absolutely exists. It is not an illusion. Ignoring the existence of time and space makes it impossible to transcend them. Only by confronting time and space, not imagining them to be illusions, can we hope to surpass them. It's like wanting to cross a river. First, you must face the turbulent current. Then, you'll either learn to swim, build a raft, or construct a bridge to cross the river. If you imagine the river doesn't exist and is just an illusion, you will not only fail to cross it, but you may also be swept away or even drown. Conclusion. Transcending time and space is a highly complex matter. Aspiring to escape the 3 realms, transcend the 5 elements, and break free from the boundaries of heaven and earth is beyond the reach of ordinary people. It cannot be accomplished through imagination, nor can it be achieved by practicing certain exercises, gong, taking specific medications, receiving energy, or retreating into meditation. This is a vast and intricate system. Idealists are bound to fail, and materialists stand no chance. Only through holographic thinking and holographic methods can one hope to embark on the path of transcending time and space. In fact, the predecessor of Life Genuine was called The Journey of Transcending Time and Space. As the guide, I am leading everyone along this path. It's impossible to explain how to transcend time and space through words, just as it's impossible to teach someone to swim through words alone. You must enter the water to have any hope of learning. Similarly, you cannot transcend time and space merely by reading the Life Genuine corpus or the Xiefeng corpus. Sporadic guidance and explanations from this text alone won't suffice. You must enter the second home. Even then, it's not guaranteed that you will transcend time and space. You must walk the path outlined by the guide, step by step, with solid footing. Relying on talk, understanding, connections, emotions, or luck will not work. Even praising and glorifying the guide is futile. You yourself must become light, become love, become a Buddha, and become a celestial. Looking back at what we leave behind. Xiefeng, October 3rd, 2024. The International Life-Genuine Families Vacation Retreat includes, along with its main building, 7 wooden guest cabins. This 回首看自己路上留下了什么. Looking back at what we leave behind. Xiefeng, October 3rd, 2024. The International Life-Genuine Families Vacation Retreat includes, along with its main building, 7 wooden guest cabins. This morning, I went to tidy cabin 1 by the lake. Upon entering, I was first met with a pile of half-burned firewood scattered by the stove, with shavings strewn all over. Near the sink lay a stack of unwashed pots and dishes, and in the 2 bedrooms, the beds were in complete disarray. One pillow had a large, unsightly stain. Removing the pillowcase revealed that the pillow itself was similarly soiled. A once white tablecloth was nowhere to be found, until I later discovered it crumpled and filthy, stuffed into a folding cot behind the door. In 7 years of managing these cabins, this experience left one of the deepest impressions on me. I could almost sense the level of civility and quality of life of the guests who had stayed here. Just as Sherlock Holmes deduced the crime scene and profile of the criminal from subtle clues, we too can discern a person's character, especially their civility, refinement, and depth of spirit, from the traces they leave behind. With this in mind, each of us should take a moment to look back and examine what we've left on our journey through life. Are we leaving behind flowers or thorns? Are we remembered with praise or with curses? Are we inspiring longing or rejection? Are we leaving fond memories or causing people to shy away? Is our path marked by light or by darkness? Are we leaving behind hope or despair? Are we creating beautiful memories or a trail of nightmares? Are we shaping a heavenly path or one that resembles a path to hell? It's essential to reflect. If our path is filled with beauty, then we are walking toward heaven. But if it's filled with disdain and curses, marked by ugliness, then hell is not far off. Christianity speaks of a final judgment. But how will we be judged, and on what basis? Judgment will rest upon the traces each of us leaves behind, day by day, step by step. Seeing within from the outside. Xiefeng, September 30th, 2024. You cannot see the true face of Mount Lu simply because you are within the mountain. When you're inside, the truth remains elusive. In the late Qing dynasty, the high-ranking official Li Hongzhang visited the United States. He saw skyscrapers, highways filled with cars, men in suits, and women in fashionable attire. After returning to China, he was almost silent. Why? The difference between America and China was overwhelming. China had no tall buildings or cars. Men still wore long robes with queues, and women bound their feet. Without an external perspective, one could hardly recognize the backwardness, ignorance, stubbornness, and isolation that characterized China at that time. 30 years ago, I traveled to Zimbabwe. Waking up in a villa to the sound of chirping birds, I was amazed. People lived so comfortably here, in spacious homes with green lawns, vibrant flowers, and clear swimming pools. I decided never to return to China. Later, I spent over a year in a modest, remote place called Kyokyol. Here, local Africans led simple lives with humble homes, basic food, and a relaxed lifestyle. They spent their days singing, dancing, and playing, living freely and happily. Though simply dressed, they kept themselves meticulously clean, often washing their clothes daily. Their floors were spotless, their lives simple but free and joyful. Looking back at China, life seemed excessively burdensome, with outer polish masking inner struggles. After arriving in North America and learning about Western history over the past few centuries, I gained a new perspective on China's history. Lu Sun was right. China's history is a cannibalistic history. Claims of China's glorious 5,000-year culture often mask a harsh reality. This history reflects an inhumane nature. Everyone was enslaved, including emperors controlled by power. Beyond music and landscape painting, China's cultural legacy is frankly a mess. However, when you look closer, Chinese history is filled with talent. The intellect of the Chinese people rivals that of any nation. If Chinese people were allowed to freely express their creativity without repression, China would undoubtedly excel globally. Thus, we must be vigilant. As Chinese people, if we remain unaware of life outside China or of the developments in Western science, philosophy, and sociology, we will live in a space where right and wrong, true and false, black and white, are blurred. Our life perspectives, values, and worldviews become chaotic and inhumane. So, when an isolated Chinese person believes they are right, they are likely profoundly mistaken. On WeChat's video channel, I frequently encounter people's views, especially from well-known figures. They discuss human nature, advise against its flaws, advocate overcoming adversity, or crossing class boundaries. These teachings seem to encourage people not to be human, but to become wolves, ghosts, or monsters. As a result, I feel deeply pessimistic about China's future. Does this mean that developed countries like the United States, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, the United Kingdom, Germany, France, or Japan are flawless? Not at all. From the perspective of the thousand-year world, they, too, appear disturbingly flawed. Seen from the highly civilized Elysium world, Earth appears like a hell brimming with monsters and demons, akin to a prison for the condemned. Humanity remains far from true civilization. Let's now narrow the focus to individuals. The hardest thing in the world is to know oneself. Among billions globally, few truly know themselves. Many perceive others clearly but struggle to see themselves. All those who stubbornly cling to their beliefs, who assert their correctness, and who are self-centered are fundamentally ignorant about themselves and are among the hardest to save. To truly understand oneself, one must step outside their immediate environment, be it the earth, their nation, culture, or humanity. Only from an external perspective can one see things clearly. To truly see oneself, one must first identify a reference point in the coordinate system of life. Without a reference, we remain self-assured but muddled, no different from animals, plants, or insects. The secret of borrowing strength from heaven's timing. Xiefeng, November 12, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. When the timing of the heavens is off, the sun and moon lack radiance. When the timing of the earth is off, plants do not thrive. When the timing of water is off, waves are not calm. When the timing for people is off, fortune cannot flow. Rhapsody on dwelling in the mountains. The timing of heaven is a subtle mechanism, and the opportune moment aligns with the way of heaven. When the right moment arrives, all things respond and flourish. When it passes, all phenomena follow its rhythm and wither away. Humans possess an innate ability to perceive the subtleties of heaven's timing. By aligning with it, they experience smooth progress and prosperity, whereas opposing it leads to stagnation and difficulty. Heaven's timing is beyond human control or manipulation. The only way to thrive is by aligning with its rhythm and circumstances. There is a saying, times create heroes, yet it applies not only to heroes but also to the wealthy, tyrants, experts, and scholars. Both fame and fortune arise from seizing opportune moments, as do disasters and misfortunes. Ignorant people fail to understand heaven's timing, and those who defy it go against the way of the Tao. Even if one possesses vast knowledge and dreams of shaping the universe, going against heaven's timing stifles their abilities and ambitions. Meanwhile, petty individuals who align with heaven's timing may still find themselves with luxury and grandeur. Those who understand the secrets of seizing opportune moments act with humility, avoiding calamities. Arrogant individuals who rely on their talents without understanding heaven's timing will inevitably face setbacks. A person's talents are shaped by the times. Without favorable conditions, talent cannot emerge. During the Cultural Revolution, for example, there were no private entrepreneurs. The idea that heroes create their own opportunities is a misconception. Without favorable timing, a hero may appear as a thug, while favorable timing can instantly elevate a thug to hero status. Natural timing and social timing differ. Natural timing includes the changing of seasons, which humans can only follow, not alter. Social timing, however, arises from cycles of cause and effect. When negative karma exceeds a critical threshold, the timing turns adverse. When positive efforts surpass a threshold, it turns favorable. For individuals, Humility and respect for natural timing equate to reverence for nature. When social timing conflicts with one's nature, it's wise to conceal one's talents and bide one's time. When social timing aligns with one's nature, it's essential to seize the opportunity to fully realize one's abilities. Such chances may never return. There are major and minor opportune moments. Major moments affect global scales, like the universal use of masks, while minor ones affect local events, such as Ukraine's invasion, causing migration. To follow heaven's timing is to borrow its power and seize opportune moments. Migratory birds follow the timing of heaven, private entrepreneurs rise with it, and studying abroad to start a business benefits from its support. If social timing closes a country's borders, how can one fulfill the desire to go abroad? Thus, in countless threads and fibers, its essence remains unchanged. Let it gather and disperse as it may. The willow catkin still gracefully sways. Don't mock the fleeting beauty of spring's soft fluff, for it has no roots yet endures the gusty stuff. With a favorable wind as my guide, I ascend high and bright, riding on good fortune, soaring to great heights. When the sky is clear, dry the grass. When the iron is hot, strike it. Noble people are hard to encounter. When you do, show respect. Good timing is rare. When it arrives, seize it. Missing opportune moments leads to regret and disappointment. The transformation of life requires a complete metamorphosis. Xiefeng, July 22, 2024. The journey from human to celestial is a leap in life, a transformation from one form to another, requiring a complete metamorphosis. What is metamorphosis? A butterfly emerges from a caterpillar. The process of transforming from a caterpillar into a butterfly is metamorphosis, marking a leap in life. Recently, I was amazed to witness an extraordinary phenomenon. Some dandelions at the Life-Genuine International Family's North American retreat have transformed into plantains. This seems almost unimaginable, especially as the dandelions lining the paths to individual cabins have mostly turned into plantains. This marvel of nature also offers a revelation from the Tao. Dandelions are abundant throughout the retreat, densely covering the grasslands and slopes. When they bloom, they turn the ground into a sea of gold, a beautiful sight. But once these golden blossoms turn to white fluff, their parachute-like seeds drift with the wind, often sticking to window screens and becoming a nuisance. Some time ago, I visited Bella Coola and noticed that, within an hour's drive, there wasn't a single dandelion in sight. I thought, how wonderful it would be if our retreat could also be free of dandelions. Amazingly, some of the dandelions at the retreat began to change, undergoing a metamorphosis into plantains, a plant I cherish not only for its medicinal seeds, but also for its edible leaves. In spring, I used to gather plantain leaves to make a tangy dish. The caterpillar crawling on the ground undergoes metamorphosis, emerging as a butterfly that dances among mountain blossoms. Similarly, dandelions can transform into plantains, plants that hold more value. These transformations inspire us to realize that people, too, can undergo metamorphosis and reach a celestial state. Every metamorphosis signifies a leap in life. For humans, this celestial metamorphosis requires only 6 words of wisdom: unselfish, selfless, and free from attachment. Self-centeredness, ego, selflessness, and detachment define the celestial state. When someone reaches a state of unselfishness, selflessness, and detachment, they have achieved metamorphosis. They are like a caterpillar transformed into a butterfly or a dandelion into a plantain, and are ready to ascend to a celestial realm, embracing a life beyond the ordinary. Even in this world, those who live unselfishly, selflessly, and without attachment are already living the celestial life, not an earthly one. Many members of Life-Genuine currently embody this truth in their lives. Unused medicines are the best medicines. Xiefeng. Prepare for a rainy day and prevent problems before they arise. Many of us keep basic and emergency medicines at home. Those for colds and fevers, injuries and bruises, pain relief, calming, digestive issues, and liver relief. Over time, these medicines accumulate in drawers. Some have been used only a little, while others remain unopened. Every now and then, I find myself staring at expired medicines and wondering, Which of them was truly the most valuable? Medicines are meant to preserve health and deal with emergencies. If a medicine is used, it means the body has faced some issue. If a medicine remains untouched, it signifies the body stayed healthy and free from any acute illness. In this light, even though some medicines have expired and used, the fact that they were never needed is the best outcome. A hunter venturing into the wild might carry something like Yunnan Baiyao in case of an animal bite, but in his heart, the hunter hopes he'll never have to use it, because needing it would mean serious trouble. The medicines that ultimately expire and are thrown away are the best medicines. Their value lies in the fact that the body never needed them. This idea brings to mind friendship. Friends are an intangible wealth in life. When we face difficulties or emergencies, a true